Chapter 1571. Without Ji Wuxiang in Dianan, the leader was also gone, leaving behind a group of warriors who were in a state of panic. Is almost equal to Tang Zheng did not care about this mess, and brought the few of them on the somersault cloud, and flew back to the capital. After a few days, the few people in the capital were extremely worried, and had been paying attention to the situation in Dianan. However, Dianan was an iron bucket, and there was no way for the news to spread. But vaguely, many people still understood that something earth-shattering must have happened in Dianan. Although the few of them believed in Tang Zheng's strength, they were still worried in their hearts. After all, Ji Wuxiang's strength was unquestionable. When they saw their triumphant return, the few of them finally heaved a sigh of relief in their hearts, and immediately began to ask questions at the same time. When they found out about the earth-shattering event in Dianan, everyone fell into silence. After Yi Dingdang heard that Tang Zheng had died, she was silent for a while, then looked deeply at Tang Zheng, and held his hand in front of everyone's eyes, and said, "Tang Zheng, don't take it to heart, this is his own choice, it's not your fault." Tang Zheng did not expect her to comfort him in turn, and was moved in his heart, saying, "As long as you don't blame me, it's fine. I don't have any kinship with him in the first place. As for my father, I believe that after experiencing so much, he already understands who is the one who is truly good to our family of three." Yi Xuanji was indeed not good to Yi Dingdang's family of three, and did not fulfill his responsibility. Instead, once there were benefits, he would use them, causing Yi Dingdang to be dissatisfied. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief, and said, "Even if he blames me, I won't have any complaints, and I won't regret doing so." The others were even more immersed in Ji Wuxiang's actions. The heavenly chess he created actually had such great power, creating a country within a country, a world where only warriors could cultivate. Marshall and the others, who were also warriors, were filled with emotions. They had all learned how to absorb the power of the stars, and were even more clear that after obtaining the power of the stars, their cultivation would undergo earth-shattering changes. Marshall's eyes gradually lit up. She had been trying to find a way to help Tang Zheng. This way, she would also have her own position among the women. "Tang Zheng, since those warriors are dragons, now is the best time for us to reorganize them." Marshall's voice deepened, and said solemnly. Tang Zheng looked at her with admiration. Her vision was very unique, it was just that he did not have the energy to do so. If they are free for a long time, then they might not. Future of affairs. After all, in an environment where the power of the stars is abundant, the growth of a martial artist's cultivation is not slower than that of a cultivator's. Marshall said worriedly. Tang Zheng nodded his head in relief. Marshall was able to foresee this point, and when Marshall saw Tang Zheng's encouraging eyes, she knew that he was encouraging her to continue speaking, so she continued, "I have the confidence to recruit this group of warriors. Not only will they not become a factor of chaos, but they will also become a great help to us." Pausing for a moment, she continued to organize her words and said, "Back then, Yan Qingyi predicted that the end of the world would appear, but it hasn't appeared yet. I don't know if it's true or not, but looking at Yan Qingyi's situation, I believe that it's true. Then what will happen in the future that will cause such serious consequences? We can't predict it for the time being, but if we have enough strength, even if such a situation really happens, we have enough strength to stop it all. Martial artists can use their strength in such a situation. Taking 10,000 steps back, if the people of the sky beyond heaven were to invade our world, then our world would have another force to fight back, don't you think so?" Marshall said everything that he wanted to say in one breath, and then looked at Tang Zheng with a burning gaze. The others were also interested by what she said, and looked at her with bright eyes. These words were indeed meaningful and not without reason. "Marshall, your idea is very good." I raise both hands in agreement. Tang Zheng smiled and deliberately raised both of his hands. Seeing this, the others all nodded in agreement. Li Xiaotian looked at her thoughtfully, thinking that Marshall was really smart, to actually grab hold of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. However, she did not have any other thoughts. She had the Li Palace in her hands, and the intelligence of the Li Palace was not weak either. Furthermore, the intelligence system was not something that others could casually compare to. Moreover, once the southern Yunnan became a martial artist's paradise, the Li Palace would also move their headquarters into the southern Yunnan, forming a situation where one was in the light and the other was in the dark. The Li Palace would be able to hide in the dark, making all schemes and plots unable to hide. Even if Ji Wuxiang's remnants had any tricks up their sleeves, it would be difficult for them to make a difference. Only one point: the disciples of the Li Palace had not yet learned how to absorb the power of the stars, and this point had fallen into the hands of Tang Jing. Tang Jing glanced at the few of them, his gaze lingering on the bodies of the few martial artists, and said, "In the past, I did not really announce the method for martial artists to absorb the power of the stars to the outside world, but now that Ji Wuxiang is dead, this point is very necessary." Everyone's heart was moved. They had already more or less guessed Tang Jing's idea. Tang Jing continued, "So, I will announce this secret." Ji Wuxiang had always hidden this secret, trying to use this point to control the martial artists under him. "But I do not need to worry about this. No matter if the martial artist is my enemy or my friend, they will all benefit from it, even if there is a provocative madman. I will not be afraid." He was full of confidence. He indeed had the ability to say such words. No one objected. On the contrary, everyone nodded slightly, directly acknowledging this point. Yi Dingdang excitedly said, "This way, the strength of the martial artists in the world will also be stronger. In the future, even if the sky beyond sky threatens this world, the martial artists can also provide a helping hand." As a martial artist, Yi Dingdang's strength had always not improved as quickly as the cultivators, especially when Fang Shishir started at the same time as her. In fact, Fang Shishir started slightly later than her. Their relationship with Tang Jing was also the earliest. Now that Fang Shishir had the careful guidance of Tian Chanzi, her cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. She had already left Yi Dingdang behind. Although Yi Dingdang did not say it in her heart, she also did not keep mentioning this issue. After all, her skills were not as good as others. How could she have the nerve to ask for humiliation? However, it was different this time. Martial artists actually had their own paradise, and the rise of martial artists was unstoppable. Naturally, her strength would rise with the tide, and her status and authority among the women would increase day by day. Then the task of spreading this news will be handed over to Li Palace. In addition, this news about the power of the stars will be announced in Dianan, so martial artists who want to know this news must go to Dianan. Tang Jing thoughtfully made a change. Chapter 1572. The martial artists went to Dianan. Not only Li Xiaotian and Wu, but even Yi Dingdang couldn't help but go to Dianan. There was no need to worry too much about the situation in Dianan, so Tang Jing put his thoughts on other things. However, he did not expect that the news about the martial warriors that he announced would cause such a huge reaction. He had no time to do anything else, and the Yen family had already come knocking on his door. The 3 generations of the Yen family had come together, so it was obviously very grand. After the few of them sat down, Yen Padian stammered for a long time, but he didn't know how to open his mouth. Ever since the incident with Yen Qingyi, the two sides no longer had the same tacit understanding as before, and an invisible barrier had been created. Now, the Yen family was filled with regret. If not for this matter, the Yen family would have definitely benefited a lot from it and would not have been as awkward as it was now. The Yen family was one of the only remaining large families. Although Tang Jing did not target them, when the news of southern Yunnan becoming a martial artist's paradise was announced, the impact on the Yen family was not small. The Yen family were all warriors, and this was also the key to ensuring that the Yen family would not fall. However, after the other martial warriors went to southern Yunnan, their strength would increase by leaps and bounds, and the Yen family's advantage over the other martial warriors would disappear. In time, the decline of the Yen family was inevitable. This was because after these martial warriors became stronger, they would also establish their own family, and would inevitably compete with the Yen family. Then, the Yen family would be slowly defeated, and it would not be long before the sun set in the west. The entire Yen family felt a strong sense of crisis, so they could not sit still. A few people came together to visit Tang Jing. Tang Jing's thoughts were sharp, looking at Yen Potion's stammering appearance, as well as Yen Qishan and Yen Liuyan's extremely unnatural state. He guessed their intentions. Cough cough. He lightly coughed twice, interrupting Yen Potion's words. The three of them looked nervously at Tang Zheng, afraid that he would say something that would reject them. The three of you, we are all old acquaintances, so there is no need to be so secretive. I have already guessed your intentions. You must be here for the matter of southern Yunnan, right? Tang Zheng's words revealed their purpose, and they could not help but relax. The most difficult words to say were spoken by Tang Zheng himself, making them feel much more relaxed. However, the hearts of the three of them were also in suspense. If Tang Zheng rejected them, then it would be difficult for them to say another word. Then the Yen family's path in the future. Yen Padian said resentfully, young Master Tang's fiery eyes, our goal is indeed unable to escape your eyes. Southern Yunnan has become a warrior's paradise, and their cultivation will soar. As martial artists, we naturally want to experience it so that we can have greater achievements. Tang Zheng smiled faintly, and gradually understood the thoughts of the Yen family. He was also very clear about their worries and the current situation they were facing, and couldn't help but ponder. The three members of the Yen family all looked nervously at Tang Zheng, afraid that he would say the word no. Finally, Tang Zheng slowly opened his mouth and said, if you are willing, you can go to southern Yunnan. The three of them immediately revealed expressions of relief. Their smiles blossomed from the bottom of their hearts, and their tightly clenched fists were sweating profusely. Thank you, young Master Tang. Yen Padian sincerely thanked him, and could not help but feel ashamed of his inferiority. Young Master Tang's level of thinking was far from what he could compare to, and he was actually worried that young Master Tang would reject him. However, Tang Zheng suddenly changed the topic, and the smiles of the three immediately froze as they looked at him nervously. But isn't your Yen family's foundation in the capital? If you go to southern Yunnan, what will happen to your foundation? Tang Zheng asked curiously. The Yen family's so-called going to southern Yunnan was not just going there for a few days, but was truly settling down in southern Yunnan. Although Yen Padian did not say it out loud, Tang Zheng had already understood. The Yen family's 100 years of foundation was all in the capital, and this was a huge blow. That was why Tang Zheng had such a question. Yen Padian heaved a sigh of relief. He thought that Tang Zheng would go back on his word, but it turned out to be this matter. Actually, before they came, the Yen family had already discussed it. They were very clear about the consequences of going to southern Yunnan. However, in the end, they unanimously decided that they had to take this risk. Moreover, what they would gain in the future would be more than what they would lose. Therefore, this deal was very worth it. Yen Padian replied, thank you, young Master Tang, for being so considerate for us. However, we have come to the same conclusion. The foundation of the Yen family is not only those dead things, but also the people of the Yen family. This is the foundation of the Yen family's 100 years of existence. As long as the Yen family is still here, then the Yen family can create even more glory. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. Yen Potion's eyes were very unique, he actually saw this point. In fact, in Tang Zheng's eyes, those industries and other dead things were not as important as people. Therefore, he did not pay too much attention to the industries under his name. He cared more about the people by his side. With people, he could have other things. People were the foundation, and people were the foundation. Only then could he truly create an immortal foundation. Heroes think alike. The Yen family's point of view was the same as his. No wonder they could become the only surviving family. Then I don't object to you going to South Yunnan. Tang Zheng reiterated his attitude. The three members of the Yen family heaved a sigh of relief. They were all grateful to Tang Zheng for not falling out with the Yen family because of Yen Qingyi. Before leaving, Yen Padian hesitated for a moment and said, young Master Tang, the next time I see Qingyi, I will definitely advise her not to go against young Master Tang. Tang Zheng smiled, but did not comment. Yen Qingyi was not someone that could be persuaded by ordinary people. He did not know to what extent she had comprehended the heavenly Tao and what kind of actions she would take. Looking at the Yen family leaving in a hurry, Tang Zheng fell into deep thought. After a long time, he slowly shook his head and did not think about this problem. Because this problem was temporarily unsolvable. As for the Yen family's exhibition in South Yunnan, he was not worried at all. Li Xiaotian, Wu, and the others had already gone to South Yunnan to make arrangements, and the heavenly chess was still under the control of Tang Zheng. It was absolutely impossible for the Yen family to overturn the heavens in South Yunnan. With Yen Potion's intelligence, he would definitely not do such a stupid thing. Therefore, he was not worried. Right now, the capital had truly become Tang Zheng's base camp. The officials had already chosen to turn a blind eye to it, and there were no martial artists to fight against him. In fact, there was no one or power in this world that dared to make an enemy out of him. His gaze involuntarily landed on the sky beyond heaven. I wonder how Xiao Bai and the others are doing in the sky beyond heaven. He had promised Xiao Bai that he would send the Scarlet Moon Beast and the others over. Now was the time. Just as this thought appeared in his mind, his heart suddenly moved, and an ominous premonition attacked him. His heart trembled as he cursed inwardly. With a thought, his divine sense dived into the dragon seal. His body was like a puppet, standing motionless in place. Chapter 1573. Inside the dragon seal, a few figures broke through the void and sneaked in. However, these were only spiritual senses because their bodies could not enter the Langya pavilion. They looked around in surprise. Their eyes lit up one after another, revealing greedy gazes. This is the world inside the dragon seal. We didn't have the chance to come here in the past. I didn't expect it to be like this, one of them said in amazement. The others could not hide their surprise and nodded one after another. Although we sacrificed a companion, he actually brought us to this place. He really died a worthy death. Ha ha ha, if we could have found this place earlier, it wouldn't have mattered if a few more of us died, someone echoed. Obviously, in their hearts, the lives of their companions were not worth much. For higher benefits, they could sacrifice them. Who were these people? Of course, they were the dragon slayers. Other than the dragons, they were the only people who had entered the world inside the dragon seal. Speaking of which, this was completely a coincidence. Back then, when the dragon slayers were fighting with the dragons, they coincidentally entered this world. When this dragon slayers died at the hands of Tang Zheng, the other dragon slayers found some clues. Then, they spent a lot of effort and energy to finally follow this clue and found the secret of the dragon seal. From then on, the dragon seal was no longer a secret to the dragon slayers. They could not enter this place on their own, but they could capture a dragon and enter through it. In the great wide world, the dragon slayers did not need to spend too much effort to find the dragons. Therefore, this world was completely open to them. The dragon slayers looked around with shining eyes and clicked their tongues in wonder. It was as if they had walked into the Grand View Garden. Of course, the greed in their hearts was infinitely stimulated. Why is there a fog in front of us? They did not reach the Langya Pavilion or the inverted Langya Pavilion. They were only in the fog. This was where the dragon slayers and the dragons could not be compared. When the dragons entered this place, they would be directly teleported to the front of the Langya Pavilion. As for the dragon slayers, they came in by accident and landed in a random place. This time, they landed in this fog. There was a large amount of fog between the two Langya pavilions, and their vision was very blurry. Therefore, they did not see anything at all just now. However, based on their innate perception of the dragon souls, they had already found some clues. This place had a large number of dragon souls. In the past, we've always thought that the most powerful dragon souls of the dragon clan did not fall into our hands. After all, when we first arrived at the dragon clan's graveyard, although we also captured a large number of dragon souls, it was still quite far from what we expected. Now, it seems that our judgment was right. The dragon race is cunning and has long since transferred the truly powerful dragon soul. A dragon slayer's eyes flickered as he spoke. The other dragon slayers nodded and said, "The dragon race is really cunning. They played a trick on us, making us mistakenly think that we have already captured all of those dragon souls. Ha ha ha, but the dragon clan would never have thought that no matter where the dragon's soul was hidden, it would not be able to escape the pursuit of us dragon slayers. Look, we can now wipe out all those dragon souls. Once I absorb those dragon souls, my cultivation will advance by leaps and bounds. Just thinking about it is wonderful. The few of them revealed looks of longing. The greed in their eyes grew stronger and stronger, unable to be concealed at all. Let's go and find the dragon's soul. The few of them were unable to fly and could only move forward in the fog. The direction they were heading towards was not the Langya Pavilion, but the inverted Langya Pavilion where countless dragon souls were buried. Obviously, they had an innate sense and detection ability towards the dragon's soul. Whoosh! Suddenly, there was a slight sound of air being torn apart in the fog. Although it was almost inaudible, it did not escape the dragon slayers' ears. Their expressions turned cold, and they reached out to grab at the void. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Waves of surging power surged out from their palms and transformed into claws. These claws were very similar to dragon claws and were covered with thick scales like steel. Bang! With a muffled sound, the air wave tore apart a cloud of fog. The dragon slayers were not injured, but were surprised by this attack. They all raised their spirits at the same time and shouted loudly, "Who is it? Who dares to sneak attack the dragon slayers?" No one answered. The dragon slayers looked at each other and revealed a look of contempt as they said, "It must be one of the dragon souls, right? Hee hee, it's your bad luck to bump into us. You don't want to make a sound, right? Playing hide-and-seek with us. Hee hee, for so many years, who knows how many dragons have played this trick with us, but without exception, they all lost their lives in the end. Sense the dragon souls." The dragon slayers let out a low roar and immediately used their divine ability to sense the location of the dragon souls. However, they did sense the existence of dragon souls very far away, but there was not a single dragon soul in the surrounding area. Strange. That attack clearly came from nearby. How could there not be any dragon souls? Other than the dragon slayers, there were only dragons here. There were no dragon souls, so who was attacking them? The few of them looked at each other and revealed a look of shock. They could not figure out what was going on. Whoosh! Another sound of air being torn apart flew over. The attack clearly came from nearby. The dragon slayers were shocked. The enemy was clearly nearby, but they could not sense it at all. This was the first time in thousands of years that this had happened. Attack! The few of them cooperated very well. A few claws flew out, but they missed. A surge of surging power flew from behind and struck their backs. The few of them were shocked at the same time. They quickly turned around to counterattack, but it was already too late. One of the dragon slayers was directly penetrated by this surge of power. Boom! With an explosion, the dragon slayer's soul scattered and dissipated in the fog. The dragon slayers scattered in all directions. They were really shocked by this attack. Their own people could not even withstand a single blow, and their souls were scattered. This was too strange, something that had never happened before. "Get out here, you dare to kill us dragon slayers. You are dead meat. I will skin you, stupid dragon, pull out your tendons, and tear your body into pieces. I will also torture your dragon soul and make you suffer endless pain." The dragon slayers stomped their feet and cursed. This kind of situation was rare, especially in a confrontation with the dragon race. The dragon slayers had always firmly held the upper hand. How could they be in such a sorry state like this? Tang Zheng was hiding in the fog. Ever since he entered the dragon seal, he discovered the whereabouts of these dragon slayers. He was not in a hurry to show himself. The dragon slayers were very powerful, especially when there were a few of them together. He knew that he might not be able to gain the upper hand in a direct confrontation. Thus, he cleverly adopted a roundabout tactic, using the fog as a cover to launch a sneak attack. The truth proved that after probing once, the sneak attack was very successful. Chapter 1574. Tang Zhang's lips curled into a smile as he listened to the Dragon Slayer's curses. Ever since he killed the Dragon Slayers twice in the past, he was no longer so fearful of them. The Dragon Slayers were not undefeatable. As long as he was strong enough and found the right method, he could also kill the Dragon Slayers in one strike. Of course, he was also shocked that so many Dragon Slayers had entered this world this time. He knew that from now on, the Langya Pavilion would probably never have a day of peace. This was an unsolvable problem. Once the Dragon Slayers discovered this secret, it would definitely spread among the Dragon Slayers. Then, he would not be able to avoid all of this. The only thing he could do was to rely on the magical power taught by the Dragon Seniors to monitor the Langya Pavilion's movements in real time. Once the Dragon Slayers arrived, he would know immediately and quickly attack. However, it was just a few Dragon Slayers this time. What if there were many Dragon Slayers here in the future? Could he still deal with them? He did not know the answer. He only knew that he had to get rid of these guys in front of him immediately. Otherwise, the Langya Pavilion would be turned upside down by them now. The Dragon Slayers shouted for a long time, but there was no reply. They knew that this was troublesome. The other party was not an impatient guy. Insults would not be able to provoke him and make him appear. However, the Dragon Slayers were puzzled. Their method of sensing the dragon's soul was a tried and tested method. Why did it not work on this guy? The other party was clearly in the surrounding fog. Why couldn't they sense him? We can't just sit here and wait for death. He's hiding in this fog. Why don't we split this fog apart? Let's see how he can hide. In the end, the Dragon Slayers discussed a countermeasure and immediately took action. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. One by one, the claws tore through the air, tearing the mist apart like pieces of thin paper. The fog dissipated, revealing everything in the surroundings. The Dragon Slayers widened their eyes, trying to find the dragon who launched the sneak attack. However, to everyone's disappointment, they did not see a single figure from the Dragon clan. Where did he go? They looked at each other. They were really confused. Whoosh! An air-piercing sound descended from the sky. Pooh! One of the Dragon Slayers was hit and exploded. His soul scattered, and he followed in the footsteps of his companion. In the sky, the other Dragon Slayers finally realized something and shouted. In mid-air, the Dragon Slayer stood on the somersault cloud. With the cover of the somersault cloud, he successfully avoided the detection of the Dragon Slayer and successfully launched another sneak attack. Of course, this also exposed his whereabouts. However, this gave the Dragon Slayers quite a fright. This was because when the Dragon Slayer arrived at this place, he realized that he couldn't fly at all. He could only rely on his 2 feet to walk on the ground. But this guy could actually ride the clouds and ride the mist. This was completely superior to them. The high and mighty Dragon Slayers had never put the dragon race in their eyes. They had only treated the dragon race as their food. Now that they had been defeated by their food, one could imagine how they felt. The most important thing was that they had entered this world with their divine sense. They couldn't even bring in their Dharma treasures, which restricted their waving and strength even more. The Dragon Slayer pointed at Tang Zheng and roared, "Dragon brat, who the hell are you? You dared to launch a sneak attack on us. In a while, we'll absorb your dragon's soul and make you die very, very miserably." Although the Dragon Slayer's roar was very loud, they were very anxious. This was because they realized that they could only watch as the other party stood on the somersault cloud. They couldn't sense his presence at all. Could it be that he's not from the dragon race, so he doesn't have a dragon soul? That's why he successfully escaped our detection, a Dragon Slayer mumbled doubtfully. If he's not from the dragon race, then how can he come to this place? Another Dragon Slayer immediately retorted. Aren't we here too? Can he be compared to us? Regarding Tang Zheng's identity, the Dragon Slayers had different opinions, and there was no definite answer. However, there was no doubt that this was a troublesome opponent. We can't just sit and wait for death. We have to counterattack. But he's in mid-air. We don't have any Dharma treasures. How can we counterattack? I have an idea. There are many dragon souls in this place. Once we find these dragon souls and absorb them, our strength will improve by leaps and bounds. At that time, we may have a way to deal with this brat. That's right. We just have to be careful of his attacks. Everyone, listen up. Don't be disrupted by him. Our target is the dragon soul. The dragon slayers understood tacitly and revealed excited expressions. They glared hatefully at Tang Zheng, who was in the sky, and then used their mystiques to sense the dragon souls. As expected, they immediately found something. They had already sensed the strong aura of the dragon soul, and it was not far ahead. Let's go. They chose their target, increased their speed, and sprinted in the direction of the inverted Lengya pavilion. Tang Zheng was shocked. He did not expect the dragon slayers to leave him behind and ignore him. Instead, they were sprinting. Oh no. Tang Zheng looked up and was shocked. This was because he had already guessed the dragon slayers' intentions. We definitely can't let them reach the inverted Lengya pavilion. Tang Zheng gritted his teeth and activated the somersault cloud. With a whoosh, the somersault cloud chased after them. The somersault cloud's speed was naturally faster than the dragon slayers. Therefore, it caught up with them in an instant. An air-piercing sound descended from the sky. The dragon slayer warriors had been on full alert the entire time. When they heard the sound of the air being torn apart, they immediately reacted and dodged in all directions. They did not have any intention of fighting head-on and easily dodged Tang Zheng's attack. Tang Zheng's expression darkened. Damn it. Their goal is clear. They actually don't want to tangle with me. Somersault Cloud, stop them. After a slight hesitation, he immediately reacted. The somersault cloud landed in front of the dragon slayers and forcibly blocked their path. The two sides really faced each other. The dragon slayers came to a sudden stop and stared at Tang Zheng fiercely. Who are you? The dragon slayers asked first. A member of the dragon tribe. Tang Zheng did not say his name. Ever since he fused with the dragon bone, he had truly become a member of the dragon tribe. Therefore, he was not wrong. You're really a member of the dragon tribe? The dragon slayers were shocked. Previously, they had been wondering about Tang Zheng's identity. When they heard the words, member of the dragon tribe, from his mouth, it was obvious how shocked they were. Then why can't we sense your dragon soul? The dragon slayers asked. Tang Zheng had a general answer to this question. Perhaps it was because he was originally a human and also a celestial. Only after cultivating the dragon god art did he slowly become a member of the dragon race. There was a certain difference between him and a true dragon. This was why the dragon slayers could not sense him at all. At the thought of this, Tang Zheng felt as if a heavy burden had been placed on his shoulders, making it hard for him to breathe. No, I have to stop them. However, the dragon slayer in front of him saw Tang Zheng's anxious expression and said proudly, no matter who you are, you can't stop all of this. The dragon clan will always be the prey of us dragon slayers. You want to make a comeback? Humph, your end will be very miserable. After saying this, his attacks became even more fierce, not giving Tang Zheng a chance to catch his breath. Then let's see who will end up more miserable. Tang Zheng simply gave up on using his sword technique. Because he did not have the hidden sword, the power of his sword technique was greatly reduced, and could not cause a one-hit kill effect to the opponent. Last time, I used the sky-swallowing technique to deal with that invading dragon slayer. Now, I will use the same method to deal with him. Thus, he pushed out his large hand flatly and faced the dragon slayer's claw. The dragon slayer was overjoyed. Could it be that this brat was confused by anger? He actually gave up on a more threatening mystical power and used this small trick. The few strikes just now had indeed caused quite a lot of trouble for the dragon slayer, making him realize the power of this sword technique. Bang! The palm and claw collided. The two of them did not retreat because of the surging power. Instead, they were tightly pressed together, and the two palms could not be separated at all. The dragon slayer was stunned and did not understand what was going on. Suddenly, his eyes widened and he screamed, "What are you doing? Quickly let go." How could Tang Zheng let go? He desperately urged the sky-swallowing technique, and a black hole suddenly appeared. Before the dragon slayer could react, he disappeared into the black hole with a whoosh. The sky-swallowing technique is indeed a mystical power that can lead to victory, especially for these invaders. They are originally strands of consciousness, so the sky-swallowing technique is their fatal nemesis. Tang Zheng suddenly turned around and stared at the dragon slayer who was trapped by the somersault cloud. The other party also saw Tang Zheng and personally witnessed the scene of his companion being sucked away by the black hole. He was extremely shocked. Under the attack of the black hole, his companion actually did not have the slightest ability to resist and disappeared without any warning. Tang Zheng quickly rushed towards the dragon slayer, and the dragon slayer also quickly dodged to the side. There was no way back, and there was a pursuer in front. He could only choose a direction and escape to the side. Stop! Tang Zheng jumped in front of the dragon slayer and pushed out with both palms. The black hole immediately enveloped the dragon slayer. The dragon slayer screamed and struggled, but it was useless. He could only watch as he was sucked into the black hole. Tang Zheng did not have time to care about the effects of the heaven realm after these dragon slayers were sucked into the black hole. He steered the somersault cloud and quickly chased after them. If he was a step late, so many dragon souls would be in trouble. When the somersault cloud landed, he saw the dragon slayer rushing into the inverted Langya pavilion from afar. Stop! Tang Zheng's heart quivered, and he immediately chased after him. In a flash, he rushed into the Langya pavilion, and just happened to see the dragon slayer standing in front of a large group of dragon clan tombstones. His wild with joy made Tang Zheng shudder. You are not allowed to hurt the dragon souls. Seeing that a dragon slayer was already using his mystical ability, the nearest dragon soul flew up from the tombstone and flew towards the dragon slayer. Tang Zheng descended from the sky and stood between the two parties. With a push of his hand, the black hole flew out from his palm and became bigger and bigger. His palm was aimed at the dragon slayer. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The dragon slayer was just a wisp of spirit. Without the protection of a physical body, it was a piece of cake in front of the sky-devouring technique. It was a delicious dish without any defense. Therefore, with a flash of light, the black hole sucked in two dragon slayers. The dragon slayer was suddenly enlightened. He finally understood how Tang Zheng could break through the encirclement and catch up to them in such a short time. Stop him. Let's go upstairs. The dragon slayer had already sensed that an even larger dragon soul was still upstairs. Although the dragon souls below were not bad, they were far from the ones above. If he wanted to quickly increase his strength, he naturally had to absorb the dragon souls above. Stopping Tang Zheng's attack became especially important. Chapter 1576. A few dragon slayers blocked Tang Zheng, but the black hole had already flown in front of them. They couldn't stand still at all and used all their skills to try to escape the suction of the black hole. With this opportunity, those dragon souls that had already flown up from the tombstones flew back to the tombstones and luckily escaped the calamity. Sky-devouring technique, absorb. Tang Zheng roared and flew up. The power of the black hole increased greatly, and the few dragon slayers disappeared in the black hole in the blink of an eye. Tang Zheng didn't even have time to catch his breath and rushed to the second floor with a tap of his toes. However, there were no dragon slayers on the second floor. The dragon slayers had already realized that the more powerful the dragon soul, the higher the floor it was on, so they went straight to the highest floor. That's strange, why aren't the dragon slayers restricted by the Langya pavilion? They can actually go up the Langya pavilion so easily? Tang Zheng muttered in his heart. The Langya pavilion was related to the realm of the dragon god technique. Only when one reached the corresponding realm could they go up the corresponding floor. The two Langya pavilions were the same. Back then, Tang Zheng only went up to the 9th floor of the Langya Pavilion. He didn't know what was on the remaining 9 floors. Suddenly, when he rushed to the 6th floor, he saw a lone dragon slayer. He was already using his divine ability to absorb a dragon soul in front of him and was about to fuse with his body. Why is there a lone dragon slayer here? And it's only the 6th floor? Tang Zheng stretched out his hand and the other party tried to dodge, but there was still a black hole in mid-air, so he couldn't dodge at all. As a result, he easily fell into the palm of Tang Zheng's hand. Before the black hole absorbed his soul, Tang Zheng first used the soul-searching technique and emptied the knowledge in his brain. Suddenly, he realized that this lone dragon slayer was too weak. If he was blocked in front of the restriction on the 7th floor of the Langya Pavilion. The restriction of the Langya Pavilion still existed and was still in effect. However, for various reasons, the dragon slayers were also treated like the dragon tribe. Tang Zheng immediately realized something was wrong. It turned out that when the dragon slayers were at the main entrance of the Langya Pavilion, they were also blocked by the restriction. However, with so many dragon slayers gathering everyone's strength, they actually managed to break through the restriction in one fell swoop and barged in. Once they entered the Langya Pavilion, they would be considered to have truly obtained the same treatment as the dragon clan. That was, they would be able to ascend to the corresponding floor based on the realm of the dragon's soul that they had absorbed. The most powerful dragon's soul that this lone dragon slayer had ever absorbed was only able to reach the 6th level. Naturally, he could only stop here. After Tang Zheng understood this point, he was both shocked and angry. Could it be that this group of dragon slayers had not absorbed a more powerful dragon soul? Perhaps it was a dragon soul that could reach the 9th floor. Even Tang Zheng hadn't been up there before. If the dragon slayer went up there and he couldn't go up, wouldn't all the floors above be in trouble? We can't let this happen. Tang Zheng shuddered, gritted his teeth, and quickly chased after him. When he reached the 7th and 8th floors, there were corresponding dragon slayers lingering there, trying their best to absorb the dragon souls. Fortunately, Tang Zheng managed to stop them. If one of the dragon souls was absorbed by the dragon slayers, Tang Zheng would also feel that he had neglected his duty. After all, the dragon clan seniors had given these dragon souls to him to take care of without reservation. If he couldn't fulfill his promise, wouldn't he be breaking his promise to the dragon clan seniors? Tang Zheng swept away all obstacles and ascended to the 9th floor. His pupils couldn't help but constrict because he saw that the dragon clan on the 9th floor was already absorbing the dragon souls crazily. Half of one of the dragon souls had already fused with the dragon slayers. Come back! Tang Zheng roared, his eyes wide open in anger. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the dragon soul's tail. The dragon soul immediately stopped and didn't continue to fuse with the dragon slayers. Seeing this, the dragon slayers were anxious and angry. They cursed non-stop, "Damn you, you actually want to stop me." There wasn't just one dragon slayers on this floor. There were 2 other dragon slayers who immediately came to help and attack Tang Zheng's vital parts. Tang Zheng grabbed the dragon soul with one hand and executed the sky-devouring technique with the other. He fiercely slammed his palm over. Whoosh! A black hole shot out from his palm and directly enveloped one of the dragon slayers. Before the other party could react, he immediately disappeared without a trace. The other dragon slayers were stunned. Just now, they didn't see Tang Zheng execute the sky-devouring technique and hurried upstairs. Thus, they didn't expect him to have such a powerful mystical ability. However, the other one didn't believe it. He was on guard and charged over again like a ferocious tiger. Tang Zheng leaned to the side and dodged this attack. This was because the dragon slayers in front of him who were in a stalemate with him also attacked. One was close while the other was far away. Of course, he had to deal with the dragon slayers first. He slipped and closed the distance between him and the dragon slayers in front of him. Before the other party could react, he pressed his palm against the dragon slayer's chest. Black light erupted and enveloped the dragon slayers. The dragon slayers flashed and disappeared without a trace. Even the half-fused dragon soul was almost sucked into the black hole. Fortunately, Tang Zheng's sky-devouring technique had already reached the realm of perfection. He could control it freely. Thus, even if he stopped, he avoided the tragedy of the dragon's soul being sucked in. The attack of the remaining dragon slayers also reached Tang Zheng's back. He didn't have time to retaliate. Bang! With the power of this claw, Tang Zheng's soul was almost torn to pieces, and a large hole appeared on his back. Ah! Tang Zheng subconsciously let out a scream and staggered forward. He fell to the ground and was in a slightly sorry state. The dragon slayers were overjoyed. Although they had sacrificed so many of their companions, at least they had defeated the enemy. They quickly pounced forward and prepared to give Tang Zheng a fatal blow. Tang Zheng lay on the ground and didn't have time to turn around. He pushed back with his palm and happened to collide with the dragon slayer's claw. The black hole kept trembling, and the suction force was greatly reduced. The dragon slayers had just been imprisoned by the sky-devouring technique, but they immediately broke free. Obviously, the power of the sky-devouring technique had decreased, and the threat to the dragon slayers had also decreased. The dragon slayer's strength was not lower than Tang Zheng's, and Tang Zheng was heavily injured. It wouldn't be easy to easily suck the dragon slayers into the heaven realm. The dragon slayers also understood this point. They revealed a proud expression and said arrogantly, "Your divine ability isn't working anymore. I'll kill you first and then absorb all the dragon souls on this floor. I haven't absorbed such a powerful dragon soul in a long time." There were fewer and fewer dragons in the world. The chances of the dragon slayers finding more dragons had also decreased. It was especially difficult to find powerful dragons. This dragon slayer's strength was not low at all. They had absorbed many dragon souls, but the dragon souls that they had absorbed for a long time were very weak. They were far from a dragon's soul that could reach the 9th floor of Langya Pavilion. Chapter 1577. The dragon slayer and Tang Zheng's palms were pressed against each other. The black hole was not stable and was constantly trembling. It could collapse at any time. The dragon slayer said proudly, "No matter what strange things you have, your path has come to an end. After killing you, all the dragon souls here will belong to us, the dragon slayer." With that, the dragon slayer swept his claw towards Tang Zheng. The surging power caused a strong wind to blow. Tang Zheng hurriedly used his hand as a sword and pointed his finger upwards. Like a treasured sword being unsheathed, he ruthlessly struck the dragon slayer's claw. The sword chi in his finger was like a rainbow. With a pu sound, a small hole was created in the dragon slayer's claw. The dragon slayer turned pale with fright and staggered back. He exclaimed, "You're about to die, but you're still so powerful. I really didn't expect that." Tang Zheng took a deep breath and slapped the ground with his palm. He stood up lightly and said with a gloomy face, "Dragon Slayer, do you really think you have the upper hand?" The dragon slayer's expression changed slightly. He gritted his teeth and said, "Let's see how long you can last." He was very confident in his previous attack. He didn't think that Tang Zheng would have much strength to counterattack after taking this attack. Indeed, the power of the dragon slayer's attack was extraordinary. Tang Zheng's soul was almost shattered. Fortunately, he cultivated the Ksitigarbha Sutra and his soul was strong. It was not something that could be completely defeated with just one attack. In addition, after Tang Zheng discovered that the power of his devouring heaven technique had weakened, he had an idea and immediately used the devouring heaven technique's soul to make up for this weakness. In the heaven realm, the dragon slayer's soul had already turned into surging energy and descended from the sky, landing on the tree of life. The tree of life grew at a speed visible to the naked eye. It actually grew to the height of 2 people. The surrounding ground also grew green flowers and plants, full of vitality. Without a doubt, all of these changes caused the heaven realm to undergo a qualitative change. Even the realm of the devouring heaven technique was slowly increasing. The devouring heaven technique had already reached the realm of moving mountains and moving seas, which was the only realm left. Tang Zheng had a premonition that the sky-swallowing technique was slowly progressing toward the ultimate realm. However, Tang Zheng was indeed injured, so he didn't immediately expose this point. Showing weakness to the enemy would make the enemy proud and lower their guard. The Dragon Slayer's wariness had indeed dropped by a lot. Originally, when he saw his two companions mysteriously disappear, he was already shocked. However, when he saw Tang Zheng's current predicament, he immediately realized that he had made a mistake in his judgment. This person had relied on some kind of magical power to win by surprise. Now that the power of this divine ability had been greatly reduced, there was naturally nothing to be afraid of. Kill! The Dragon Slayer let out a low roar, and his killing intent soared into the sky. His claws transforming into thousands upon thousands of them, interweaving into a gigantic claw that slashed down toward Tang Zheng's head. Tang Zheng pushed out his palm again. But no matter what, this palm seemed to be too weak. There was no way it could compare to the Dragon Slayer's attack. The Dragon Slayer's lips curled into a cruel smile. He was certain that Tang Zheng was dead for sure. Bang! Tang Zheng's palm and the claw collided. There wasn't much of a commotion. His palm was like a small boat swaying in the wind and rain, unable to resist at all. However, this small boat was extremely sturdy. No matter how the wind and rain battered it, there was actually no sign of it shattering. On the contrary, a black hole gradually grew in size, gradually forming in Tang Zheng's palm. Not long after, the black hole became larger and larger, and was extremely stable. It was completely unlike before, which was constantly trembling. The Dragon Slayer's eyes narrowed, and he shouted loudly, "You're lying to me." He would be an idiot if he still couldn't see through the clues. Tang Zheng was completely showing weakness to the enemy, luring him in, and then killing him in one strike. The power that erupted from this black hole didn't give him a chance to escape at all. Thus, there was a flash of black light, and it surged out from the black hole. Then, it quickly enveloped the Dragon Slayer. The Dragon Slayer struggled with all his might, trying to break free from this terrifying power. However, it was all too late. This power was like an octopus, firmly grasping the Dragon Slayer. No matter how he struggled, it was all to no avail. Whoosh! After a soft sound, the Dragon Slayer disappeared and was sucked into the black hole. Thus, at the same time, there was another majestic energy in the heaven realm. Under the nourishment of this energy, the tree of life slowly grew again. Not long after, it actually grew a lot taller. Tang Zheng heaved a sigh of relief. This was a narrow victory. If it was in the outside world, he definitely wouldn't have been able to win so easily. This was completely a special world in Langya, allowing both sides to fight in the state of their divine souls. In terms of the strength of the divine soul, he was far more powerful than the Dragon Slayer. In addition, the sky-devouring skill was the nemesis of the divine soul, so he could achieve a level of success. Huff huff. He kept panting a few times and looked at the fragile dragon soul beside him. It was the dragon soul that was almost sucked into the Dragon Slayer's body just now. It had already become very fragile. Go back. Tang Zheng flipped his palm and grabbed the dragon soul. Then, he guided it back to his tombstone. With a flash of golden light, it wrapped around the tombstone again. Tang Zheng felt relieved. He looked around and saw that there was not a single dragon soul missing. If he was a step later, he wouldn't have been so lucky. I was lucky enough to complete the mission given to me by the seniors of the Dragon Clan. However, the secret of Langya has been completely discovered by the Dragon Slayer. They will definitely send a large army here. At that time, I won't be able to do anything alone. After the Dragon Slayer discovered that he had failed this time, he would definitely be more prepared and send more powerful Dragon Slayer here. Even if Tang Zheng had the sky-devouring skill, it would definitely be difficult for him to deal with it. This time, it was completely because the Dragon Slayer didn't know that there was such a powerful opponent like Tang Zheng and let his guard down. That was why he was caught off guard by Tang Zheng. The Dragon Slayer would definitely not make the same mistake twice. Otherwise, the Dragon Slayer would not have reached such a powerful level. Tang Zheng was filled with emotions. He felt that the heavy burden on his shoulders was like 1,000 caddies, pressing down on him until he could not breathe. The golden dragon has already gone to look for the base of the dragon clan. I hope there will be news soon. After meeting with the dragon clan, I might be able to think of a way to solve this crisis. His heart moved, he could only temporarily place his hope on this point. The dragon slayer has been eliminated. I can take a breather for the time being. He let out a long breath and looked around. He was about to go downstairs, but just as he reached the stairs, he stopped in his tracks. This was because a thought flashed through his mind like a bolt of lightning. His entire body trembled as if he had been electrocuted. Even his soul trembled. He turned around abruptly and stared straight at the stairs leading to the 10th floor. Chapter 1578. A fish that slipped through the net. He had actually missed a dragon slayer. He had a flash of inspiration. When he was calculating the number of dragon slayers he had eliminated, he suddenly realized that there seemed to be one missing. He climbed from the 1st floor to the 9th floor, but there was no trace of this dragon slayer. This could only mean that he was not on the 9th floor, but on the he subconsciously raised his head and looked at the stairs leading to the 10th floor. This fish that slipped through the net could only have reached a higher floor. Even Tang Zheng did not know how powerful the dragon souls on the remaining floors were. If they fell into the hands of the dragon slayer, wouldn't that mean that the dragon slayer's strength would increase by leaps and bounds? More importantly, Tang Zheng did not fulfill his promise to the dragon clan's senior. He felt a chill in his heart as if he had fallen into an ice cave. He walked step by step toward the stairs. Bang! He was sent flying by a mysterious force and landed on the ground in a sorry state. He still could not break through the restrictions on this floor. Hiss! He gasped. He could not go upstairs, but the dragon slayer quietly went up. This could only mean that the dragon slayer had absorbed a dragon soul that could reach a higher floor. This showed how powerful this dragon slayer was. Most importantly, Tang Zheng could not go up. This meant that he could only watch the dragon slayer do whatever he wanted, but he could not do anything. No, I can't let him do whatever he wants. Absolutely not. Tang Zheng clenched his teeth, and his eyes became incomparably firm. Bang! He tiptoed and rushed to the stairs again, but he was still bounced back. After he got up from the ground, he ignored the pain all over his body and stared at the stairs with burning eyes. Am I going to fail just like that? He shook his head. I can't admit defeat. There must be a way. I have to think of a way. He did not rush up recklessly again. Instead, he paced back and forth at the stairs, looking left and right, trying to find some clues. Each floor of Langya is closely related to the Dragon God technique, but I have already cultivated to the 9th level of the Dragon God technique, so I can easily reach the 9th floor of Langya. But what about the next floor? He racked his brain as he circulated the Dragon God's secret art. The Dragon God's secret art circulated in his body, and before he knew it, he had transformed into a mighty 9-clawed golden dragon. The 2 dragon horns on the top of his head were like small lotuses that had just revealed their sharp horns. They flickered with golden light. Suddenly, he had a stroke of luck. The golden light on the dragon horn flickered intensely, as if something had attracted the dragon horn, and that something was upstairs. Cautiously, he approached the staircase and tried to ascend it again. Bang! That familiar rebounding force was still surging towards him. However, he was not sent flying this time. A beam of golden light shot out from the dragon horn and blocked the rebounding force. Tang Zheng was dumbfounded. Dragon horns actually had such a miraculous effect? Back then, when he grew the dragon horns, he didn't understand what they were used for. He thought that they were useless. He didn't expect that they would be useful at this critical moment. His confidence was greatly boosted, and he was greatly encouraged. He muttered to himself, it seems that hope lies on the dragon horn. He took another step forward. Bang! The rebounding force gushed out, but he did not retreat. His dragon claws were deeply embedded in the floor. A beam of golden light shot out from the dragon horn. It was as dazzling as the sun and bathed Tang Zheng's dragon body. He moved his dragon claws forward step by step. The rebounding force was actually blocked by the dragon horn. There's hope. His dragon eyes shone with a dazzling light. Step by step, he finally stepped onto the first step. Success. He was overjoyed, but he did not dare to let his guard down. He activated the Dragon God technique with all his might. The dragon horn on top of his head shone even brighter. It was like a layer of armor that completely enveloped Tang Zheng's body. 1 step, 2 steps, the dawn of victory was right in front of him. Bang! When he finally reached the last step, his body relaxed. The rebounding force disappeared, and the golden light also disappeared. Could it be that the rebounding force naturally disappeared after I successfully reached the top? I reached the 10th floor just like that. Even the golden dragon doesn't know what's on the 10th floor. He was overwhelmed with emotions. He really wanted to tell the golden dragon this great news immediately. However, he immediately calmed down. This was because the scene in front of him almost scared his soul out of his body. This was because the fish that escaped the net was actually standing in the center of this floor. The space above his head was not the roof, but a sky that was like the sky. White clouds floated, and it was incomparably blue. However, a beam of resplendent golden light fell from the sky, covering the blue sky and white clouds. There was no way to see the source of this golden light, but the other end was in the hands of the dragon slayer. He firmly grasped the golden light with both hands. His expression was ferocious and crazy. He could not hide his ecstasy. He raised his head and looked at the golden light in the sky with burning eyes. He was incomparably greedy. What are you doing? Tang Zheng did not expect that the 10th floor was like another world. It was completely different from the previous 9 floors. Just this scene alone was definitely not simple. From this, it could be seen how mysterious the 10th floor was. He had not figured out the mystery of the 10th floor, but since the Dragon Slayer was trying to get his hands on the golden light, he definitely could not let him succeed. Therefore, he roared loudly, shook his head, and swung his tail. He let out a dragon roar and swept his dragon tail toward the Dragon Slayer fiercely. The Dragon Slayer also noticed Tang Zheng. His pupils constricted, and he could not hide the shock on his face. He did not expect Tang Zheng to be so powerful. He actually passed the lower 9 floors and stepped onto the 10th floor. No, I definitely can't let him disturb me. The Dragon Slayer gritted his teeth and made up his mind. However, Tang Zheng's attack was already in front of him. The Dragon Slayer also roared toward the sky. The roar was very similar to a dragon's roar. A terrifying power spread out from his body and filled the entire floor. Bang! This terrifying power resisted the dragon tail. Tang Zheng was actually sent flying back. After somersaulting in the air, Tang Zheng stabilized his body. A resplendent light burst out from his dragon eyes. At the same time, his 2 dragon horns also released a dazzling golden light. The golden light flew out with a whoosh. Puff! The Dragon Slayer's terrifying power was like a thin piece of paper. It was actually torn in half by this golden light. The golden light went straight in and shot directly toward the Dragon Slayer. Only then did the Dragon Slayer notice the dragon horns that had just appeared on top of Tang Zheng's head. He dodged in a panic and screamed in shock, "Dragon horns, you actually have dragon horns?" The Dragon Slayer had seen too many members of the Dragon Clan. He had even seen a member of the Dragon Clan who could step onto the 10th floor of Langya. The biggest characteristic of that Dragon Clan was that they had dragon horns. The dragon horns of that Dragon Clan member were even shorter than Tang Zheng's dragon horns. They had just popped out a little from the top of his head. If one did not observe carefully, it would be extremely difficult to notice. However, that battle had given the Dragon Slayer a great shock and an unforgettable impression. He had almost died in the hands of a Dragon Clan member because of that tiny dragon horn. Chapter 1579. The Dragon Slayer was scared out of his wits. Tang Zheng was in a similar situation. He could tell that this Dragon Slayer was completely different from the previous Dragon Slayer. He was much stronger. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to ascend to the 10th floor so openly. Of course, he should have only been able to ascend to the 10th floor. Otherwise, he wouldn't have stayed here and would have definitely gone to a higher floor. But no matter what the situation was, Tang Zheng definitely wouldn't allow the Dragon Slayer to succeed. As for what the golden light in the air was and what it meant, he didn't know at the moment. Whoosh! The Dragon Slayer stared at Tang Zheng in horror and asked, "Why do you have a dragon horn?" Dragon horn? Tang Zheng was stunned. Could it be that the dragon horn was very special? He immediately thought about it. The dragon horn seemed to be very special. It could even ascend to the 10th floor. This was completely an action that surpassed one's level. From the Dragon Slayer's reaction, it was likely that the dragon horn was much more powerful than he imagined. Tang Zheng deliberately sneered and bluffed, "Why can't I have a dragon horn?" As he spoke, he approached the Dragon Slayer step by step. The dragon claw fell to the ground, creating a loud boom that shook one's soul. "Stop!" The Dragon Slayer stared at Tang Zheng and roared. It seemed that he was a bit afraid of him. Huh? Tang Zheng immediately caught this trace of emotion. With a thought, he continued to approach the Dragon Slayer. A trace of panic flashed through the Dragon Slayer's eyes. The dragon he killed last time was still fresh in his memory. That small dragon horn had almost killed him. Now that Tang Zheng's dragon horn was a bit longer and bigger, its killing power was naturally more terrifying. He suddenly understood. No wonder so many of his companions couldn't stop him, allowing him to catch up to him so easily. Tang Zheng approached the Dragon Slayer step by step, but the Dragon Slayer had no way to retreat. His face turned cold and he shouted fiercely, "Since you want to die, then I'll fulfill your wish." Whoosh! He reached out with his large hand and grabbed at the air. The air was sucked in by his large hand and became a vacuum state. An energy ball gradually formed in his palm. Boom! The energy ball left his hand and flew toward Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng shook its head and wagged its tail. Immediately, two beams of golden light shot out from its dragon horns. With a loud boom, two bursts of energy exploded. Tang Zheng's dragon claws left a few deep marks on the ground before he managed to stop himself from retreating. The Dragon Slayer, on the other hand, swayed a little before he managed to stabilize himself. However, the golden light in his hand was shaking and creaking, as if it was about to collapse. Seeing this, the Dragon Slayer turned pale with fright and roared. Using both hands, he grabbed the golden light. Only then did the golden light stabilize and not collapse. But his hands were no longer empty. Tang Zheng took this opportunity to attack. He had just finished preparing his attack, but he stopped at the last moment. He raised his head and stared blankly at the sky. That was the source of the resplendent golden light, and it was unreachable. However, a strange thought appeared in his mind again. The thing that attracted the dragon horn seemed to be at the source of the golden light. He couldn't see it clearly, but he had a feeling. What could it be? Dragon soul? Otherwise, why would it attract the Dragon Slayer so much? Seeing Tang Zheng looking at the sky, the Dragon Slayer became even more nervous. That attack just now seemed to have the upper hand, but he knew that if this continued, his situation would probably be even worse. After all, one was defense, and the other was attack. Since the Dragon Slayer wanted something, he naturally had to pay more. I don't know what it is. Then I'll go up and take a look, Tang Zheng said. Then, his dragon claws stomped on the ground and rose into the air, flying directly toward the source of the golden light. Stop! The Dragon Slayer screamed in shock. He had no choice but to free his hands and form them into claws. His claws turned into pitch-black scales, which were completely different from the dragon scales of the dragon clan. Dragon capturing hands. The Dragon Slayer roared. His claws suddenly became bigger, and the pitch-black scales shone with a terrifying black light. Dragon capturing hands was the ultimate move of the dragon slayer. It did not rely on any magic treasures, and completely relied on one's own strength. Even if it was only the spirit, the dragon slayer could completely use it. However, there was a drawback to using dragon capturing hands, and that was that it consumed a lot of power. If the attack missed or did not completely capture the dragon clan would counterattack, and the dragon slayer would become very passive. Therefore, unless it was absolutely necessary, the dragon slayer would not use this mystical power at all. Moreover, this mystical power was not something that everyone could use. After all, one could only successfully cultivate it after reaching a certain level. He just so happened to have reached this level, and those dragon slayers from before had not reached this level at all. Therefore, even if it was a matter of life and death, they could not use it. Tang Jing flew in midair, and when he lowered his head, he saw the black claws flying toward him. His heart suddenly trembled, and he felt a natural threat from those claws. Dragon capturing hands, could it be a mystical power specially used to deal with the dragon clan? Tang Jing remembered what the dragon slayer had shouted, and frowned. So what if it's specially used to deal with the dragon clan? Would I be afraid? He simply did not fly into the sky. Instead, he somersaulted in the air, and aimed at the huge claws. With a dragon roar, he charged over. Boom! After the dragon claws and the dragon capturing hands collided, the two rays of golden and black light collided, and brilliant lights overflowed. However, Tang Jing felt his whole body tighten, as if he was firmly imprisoned. He subconsciously frowned, and looked at the dragon capturing hands that was close at hand. That strong sense of threat was incomparably clear, and it deeply stimulated his heart. The power of the dragon claws was actually unable to contend against the dragon capturing hands. It was as if the dragon capturing hands were specially used to restrain his dragon claws. Dragon tail whip. Tang Jing roared loudly, and the dragon tail swept toward the dragon capturing hands. Just as it was about to hit the dragon capturing hands, the dragon claws suddenly stiffened, and stopped in midair, unable to advance any further. Ha, you still want to deal with my dragon capturing hands? This is a mystical power specially used to deal with the dragon clan. How can you contend against it? The dragon slayer laughed wildly. At first, he was still worried that Tang Jing would not accept the challenge. If he dodged the dragon capturing hands, then it would not be so easy for him to launch his first attack. However, this worry did not come to fruition. This dragon actually did not know what was good for him and directly accepted the challenge, and just happened to fall into the attack range of the dragon capturing hands. The dragon capturing hands dared to use this name, and it was not an undeserved reputation. Once a dragon fell into the attack range of the dragon capturing hands, it would be difficult for them to escape. If other dragons saw the dragon capturing hands, they would definitely not face it head-on. However, Tang Jing was a dragon that had only recently become a dragon, and was completely unaware of this point. Thus, he did not know the immensity of heaven and earth, and directly accepted the challenge. This just happened to fall into the dragon slayer's trap, and made him feel relieved. He thought that the outcome was set, and a great benefit would fall into his hands. Chapter 1580. Tang Jing was trapped by the dragon capturing hands and couldn't move. The dragon capturing hands specifically restrained him. No matter how he struggled, he was actually helpless. Dragon horns. His heart stirred. Since the dragon slayer was so afraid of the dragon horns, then the power of the dragon horns was naturally unquestionable. Boom! Two rays of golden light shot out from the dragon horns. The surrounding air surged, but he was still unable to move. Tang Jing was stunned for a moment. What was going on? Weren't the dragon horns very powerful? Why couldn't he break the dragon capturing hands? But he didn't know that the dragon capturing hands was specially used to restrain the divine abilities of the dragon race. The attack of the dragon horns was also a divine ability of the dragon race, so it would also be restrained by the dragon capturing hands. When this dragon slayer killed that dragon race member who also had dragon horns, when the dragon slayer used the dragon capturing hands, the dragon race member quickly dodged and didn't face the enemy head-on. This avoided the power of the dragon capturing hands. Once the dragon capturing hands couldn't trap the dragon race, then the dragon race members' dragon horns could freely unleash their power. The dragon slayer would naturally be surrounded by danger. Tang Jing didn't know this. He was like a butterfly that had fallen into a spider's web. No matter how he flapped his wings, there was no way to escape. Tang Jing stared blankly at the golden light that didn't have any effect. He couldn't believe it. Ha ha ha, you've already been trapped by my dragon capturing hands, and you still want to struggle? Humph, that's futile. You're dead meat. I'll let you struggle at death's door for a while. After I fuse with this dragon god fragment, I'll deal with you. At that time, even if you have dragon horns, I may not be afraid of you. The dragon slayer suddenly looked up to the sky and laughed wildly. Not to mention how proud he was. Dragon god fragment? Tang Zheng was suddenly stunned and cried out in surprise. The dragon slayer looked at him with a burning gaze and said thoughtfully, so that's how it is. The ancestors of the dragon race even hid it from their own descendants. So a stupid dragon like you actually didn't know anything. Tang Zheng ignored the dragon slayer's taunts. In any case, the dragon capturing hands could only trap him temporarily and would not hurt him. Thus, he took the opportunity to ask, what exactly is the dragon god fragment? The dragon slayer thought for a while, shook his head, and said complacently, seeing that you don't know anything, I might as well be merciful and let you know why you died. After a slight pause, the dragon slayer said, the greatest leader of your dragon clan is called the dragon god. I don't know how many tens of thousands of years ago, your dragon clan already had a dragon god. His strength was extremely powerful. Unfortunately, his fate was not very good, and he died at the hands of his own brother. The dragon god was killed by his own brother? Tang Zheng turned pale with fright. This was the first time he had heard of this inside story. It could be considered a true secret. Even the golden dragon had not revealed a single word to him. In fact, judging from the dragon slayer's tone, even the golden dragon might not know about this. Why did the dragon god die in the hands of his own brother? The dragon slayer seemed to have really treated him as a dead man with no chance of turning over, so he actually shamelessly explained it to him. We were born from the same root, so why are we in such a hurry to kill each other? This kind of thing can only be done for one reason, power. When the old dragon god was dying, he passed the throne of the dragon clan to the dragon god. As his brother, he would naturally be dissatisfied and wait for an opportunity to take revenge. Killing the dragon god is naturally the best way. The dragon slayer said jokingly. This story was very melodramatic, but there were countless similar versions in the long river of history. After the dragon god died, the dragon god's soul turned into many fragments, which are the dragon god fragments. It's just that no one would have thought that the dragon god fragments were actually hidden in the dragon seal. Those old fellows of the dragon clan are really cunning, trying to use this kind of method to stop us dragon slayers. The dragon slayer curled his lips in disdain. What is the use of the dragon god fragments? Tang Zheng asked curiously. It's very useful. Once you collect all the dragon god fragments and merge them with yourself, then it's possible to become a new dragon god. This is something that countless dragon clan and even dragon slayers dream of. Ever since this dragon god died, there hasn't been another dragon god in the dragon clan. That's why the dragon clan fell from their lofty pedestal and ended up in such a state of hiding. When Tang Zheng heard this, his mind was greatly shaken. He didn't think that the fall of the dragon clan actually had such an inside story. That's not right. When did the dragon slayer appear? Was it after the fall of the dragon god? Did the dragon slayer have anything to do with the fall of the dragon god? Tang Zheng's mind was very active. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that there was an inside story that was hard to grasp. He hurriedly asked, is the dragon slayer related to the fall of the dragon god? The Dragon Slayer looked at him in surprise and said in disbelief, "You Dragon Clan actually don't even know the origin of the Dragon Slayer?" Tang Jing really didn't know. "Huh, I really don't know how much inside story the old fellows of the Dragon Clan hid from you. How do you think the Dragon Slayer appeared? Out of thin air? You have to know how powerful and noble the Dragon Clan used to be. How could anyone dare to hunt the Dragon Clan for a living? Isn't that just courting death?" A dramatic expression appeared on Tang Zhang's face. Since the Dragon Slayer kept saying that the Dragon Clan was so high, then how could there be a Dragon Slayer? The Dragon Slayer said without stopping, "I can tell that you don't know anything just by looking at your expression. Humph, the Dragon Clan is really getting worse with each generation. No wonder they can't escape the fate of being hunted by us. They don't even know their own history. How can a clan that doesn't know their own history be strong?" Tang Jing clenched his teeth and didn't argue with the Dragon Slayer. He would let him show off enough and naturally reveal more inside stories. Sure enough, the Dragon Slayer deliberately asked mysteriously, "Do you know who the first Dragon Slayer was?" Tang Jing blinked and naturally couldn't answer. "The Dragon God's brother." The Dragon Slayer pondered for a moment and spat out 5 words. Then he stared at Tang Jing with shining eyes, as if he wanted to give him time to digest this news. Gotcha. Tang Zhang's brain seemed to have flashed with a bright flash of lightning. He was completely stunned by these 5 words. The first Dragon Slayer was actually the Dragon God's brother, which was the Dragon Clan that killed the Dragon God. He was dumbfounded. No matter what, he never thought that the first Dragon Slayer would be him. Gradually, the hidden clues seemed to be connecting together bit by bit, piecing together into a complete clue. A light flashed in his mind and he asked suspiciously, could it be that the Dragon Slayer was also created by this Dragon Clan? The Dragon Slayer laughed wildly. "Ha ha ha, a stupid dragon like you can actually draw inferences from one case. It seems that you aren't too stupid. You guessed right, this is the origin of the Dragon Slayer." Chapter 1581. The origin of the Dragon Slayers was actually so complicated, it really shocked Tang Zhang. But then, many questions popped up in his heart. Since the founder of the Dragon Slayers was a dragon, then why did he not find so many dragons hidden in the Langya Pavilion? After all, this place was actually not guarded against the dragon race. Normally, the Dragon Clan would follow the teachings of their ancestors and not dare to come to this place. However, that traitor of the Dragon Clan would not have such concerns and would definitely turn this place upside down. How could he not discover that there were so many Dragon Clan hidden here? So, he took the opportunity to ask, "You Dragon Slayers only found out the secret of this place now, then why didn't your founder find out? Isn't he also a dragon? He can enter and leave this place freely." The Dragon Slayer's eyes were full of regret. He said, the Dragon God was not to be trifled with. Before he died, he sealed his ability to enter and leave this place, so, from then on, this place became a forbidden area for us Dragon Slayers. Ha ha ha, but the Dragon God never thought that we could enter and leave this place through this method. The old ancestor has already found this method. It won't be long before he comes here personally. When that time comes, no dragon will be able to stop his footsteps. Old ancestor? Tang Zhang's thick eyebrows jumped. Could it be that the traitor of the dragon race is not dead yet? How dare you! The Dragon Slayer's expression changed abruptly. He scolded sternly, "Ignorant stupid dragon, how dare you be rude to the old ancestor?" Tang Jing snorted coldly, ignoring them. The shock in his heart was indescribable. The Dragon God was dead, but that traitor was not. No wonder the Dragon Slayers could firmly suppress the dragon race. With that traitor around, he knew the dragon race like the back of his hand, especially the various magical powers and secrets of the dragon race. He did not hold back in front of the Dragon Slayers. The Dragon Catcher hand was probably created by that traitor. Only someone who knew the dragon race so well could create such a magical power. Tang Jing sighed. No matter which world it was, why were there so many traitors? It was impossible to guard against them. It was like this in the Outland, even the world of the dragon race was like this. Fortunately, the dragon god sealed the traitor's ability to enter and exit the Langya pavilion before he died, leaving the dragon race with a chance of survival. Otherwise, the dragon clan would have been destroyed long ago. How could they have survived until today? The dragon clan seemed to be very secretive about this matter. They did not know as much about the history of the dragon clan as the dragon slayers did. Perhaps the dragon clan felt that there was such a traitor in the dragon clan, so they were too ashamed to mention this to their descendants. This was the dark history of the dragon clan. In fact, it was the shame of the dragon clan. Tang Zheng subconsciously looked towards the sky. The dragon god fragment was there, and he definitely could not let it fall into the hands of the dragon slayers. The dragon god fragment was the last thing the dragon god had left for the dragon clan. How could he let the dragon slayer have it so easily? The dragon slayer did not seem to want to continue speaking. He coldly glanced at Tang Zheng, then firmly grabbed the golden light with both hands. With a loud roar, a terrifying black light erupted from his body. The black light soared into the sky, and the golden light where his hands met seemed to be dyed black. In mid-air, the source of the golden light seemed to appear little by little. It was a golden light that was like a scorching sun, illuminating the entire space. As it approached bit by bit, the whole world became brighter. Is that the dragon god fragment? Tang Zheng turned pale with fright. He watched as the dragon god fragment approached the dragon slayer. No, I must break free from the shackles of the dragon capturing hand. Tang Zheng gritted his teeth. His eyes were resolute, but the dragon clan's Shintong was completely suppressed and could not do anything at all. I don't only know the dragon clan's divine ability. Tang Zheng snorted and activated the sky-devouring technique. A black hole had just formed when a golden light flew over with a whoosh and hit the black hole hard. The black hole shook a few times and disappeared without a trace. The dragon slayer's eyes were like lightning. He taunted, I know you're not an ordinary dragon. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to kill so many dragon slayers. Looks like my guess was right. You can actually use other divine abilities under the suppression of the dragon capturing hand. It's really not easy for a genius like you to appear in the dragon clan. Unfortunately, the destruction of the dragon clan is unstoppable. How can you change it alone? It was obvious that this dragon slayer was smarter than his companions. He had been silently observing Tang Zheng the entire time, and when he saw him counterattack, he immediately came up with a plan. As a result, Tang Zheng did not even succeed in using the sky-devouring technique. However, he did not plan to give up just like that. With a thought, a small black hole gradually condensed in his palm. Whiz! A ray of golden light suddenly appeared and ruthlessly struck his palm. If not for the fact that he had cultivated the chaotic Vajra spell, his palm would have been crippled. Only then did he turn pale with fright. The dragon slayer had ruthlessly suppressed him. His body was unable to move, and he was unable to even successfully counterattack. Then what should he do? Was he really going to watch as the dragon slayer took away the dragon god fragment? However, he was completely suppressed by the dragon capturing hand and did not have a magic treasure. Right, magic treasure. If he had a magic treasure, perhaps all of this could be changed. The somersault cloud was a magic treasure, but it was not an offensive magic treasure. It might be useful for entangling other dragon slayer, but against this dragon slayer in front of him, it was useless. He racked his brains, and one idea after another popped up, but they were immediately extinguished. They were like balls of fire that were immediately extinguished as soon as they were lit. Sword spirit. Suddenly, a thought flashed through his mind. In this world of the dragon seal, there was no way for the body to enter. Only the divine soul could enter. Wasn't the sword soul a divine soul? Furthermore, the sword soul was an offensive weapon. It was precisely because of the sword soul that the mysterious hidden sword became so powerful. Can the sword soul come here? He suddenly had a thought. Of course, it was impossible for the sword soul to come in on its own accord, but if Tang Zheng was by its side to help, would there be a glimmer of hope? Even if there was a glimmer of hope, he would not let it go. Seeing that the situation was getting more and more dangerous, he immediately took action. He was isolated from the outside world, so he had to summon the sword soul in. Sword spirit, oh sword spirit, you must come in. Tang Zheng thought and hurriedly activated the sword skill, trying to form a connection with the sword soul. The mysterious hidden sword was in the world of Sumeru, quietly showing off its wealth in midair. The sword light flowed, especially the 3 straight sacred patterns that were emitting a mysterious aura. Wang! The mysterious hidden sword suddenly hummed softly, letting out a crisp sound. Tang Zheng could not see all of this. He could only summon the sword soul by instinct. The humming of the sword became louder and louder, resounding throughout Sumeru. Even the Shura, who was far away, could hear the humming of the sword. It was as loud as a bell. The 3 sacred patterns were flowing with brilliant colors, and the light was exceptionally dazzling. Suddenly, a ball of light floated from the sword body and rushed into the sky. The mysterious hidden sword's light completely dimmed, as if a person had lost his soul and became a walking corpse. Chapter 1582. The sword spirit appeared on the 10th floor, in front of Tang Zheng and Dragon Slayer, but it was only a ball of light, but it gave off a very sharp feeling. Dragon Slayer's pupils constricted, he stared straight at the sword spirit and asked, "What is this thing?" Tang Zheng was overjoyed, because the sword spirit's voice had already sounded in his heart, "Master, I'm here." The hidden profound sword could already merge with Tang Zheng, it could hide in his body, but sometimes it would be placed in Shumi World. This time it happened to be placed in Shumi World. Who would have thought that it would be successfully summoned into this world by Tang Zheng? The sword spirit was different from other divine souls, it was a magic treasure, so it could reach this inverted Langya pavilion. The place it could reach was related to its master. There were also many magic treasures stored in Langya pavilion, and they were placed in Langya pavilion in their original form. This was not something that Tang Zheng could do. It was done by the ancestors of the Dragon Clan. Tang Zheng looked at the hidden profound sword with a burning gaze, unable to hide the surging emotions in his heart, and shouted, "Sword spirit, attack!" With a command, the sword spirit let out a high-pitched sword cry, the light changed dramatically, turning into the appearance of the hidden profound sword. The sword light was boundless, and with a whoosh, it slashed towards Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer cried out in alarm and screamed, "Magic treasure! You can actually summon a magic treasure." Tang Zheng proudly raised the corner of his mouth, and said, "Have a good taste of it." So. Rays of sword light shot out, there was no need for Tang Zheng to make a move, with just a thought, the hidden profound sword's attack was extremely fierce. Even the dragon capturing hand was unable to stop all of this. Dragon Slayer's plan had completely failed. Seeing the sky full of sword light approaching, he hurriedly met it. A few rays of light flew out from his hand. But how powerful was the sword spirit? In a situation where Dragon Slayer did not have a magic treasure, the sword spirit's attack could be said to be invincible. With a few bangs, the sword light completely dissipated. The sword spirit defeated Dragon Slayer's counterattack, and then directly slashed towards the golden light that traversed heaven and earth. No! Seeing this, Dragon Slayer turned pale with fright, and rushed towards the sword spirit without caring about his own safety, trying to stop it. He had indeed blocked the sword spirit, his arm blocking between the sword spirit and the golden light. Puff! His arm broke, the sword spirit's attack did not decrease, and slashed onto the golden light. In an instant, a dazzling light illuminated the entire world, forcing people to close their eyes. Only this light was left in the entire world. The world became exceptionally quiet, one could hear a pin drop. Kacha! A slight cracking sound broke the silence. The light receded like the ebbing tide, and after a while, it disappeared. The world returned to its original state. Tang Zheng anxiously looked over, the sky had disappeared, but he could still see the dragon god fragment floating in the air, as dazzling as the scorching sun. Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief as his gaze fell on the Dragon Slayer. Of the dragon of the dead, of the dead, of the world of the world of the lang of the world, of the god. How could I fail? How could I fail? Dragon Slayer muttered to himself, unwillingly leaping up, wanting to rush towards the dragon god fragment. However, the tip of his foot pushed off, and after reaching a few dozen meters in the air, he fell to the ground with a whoosh. Dragon Slayer had no way of flying in the air here. Otherwise, he would have already flown into the sky and taken the dragon god fragment for himself. There was no need for him to waste so much effort. The hidden profound sword whistled and flew back from the air, slashing down on the dragon catcher hand. The dragon catcher hand exploded, and Tang Zheng was freed. He reached out and grabbed the hidden profound sword in his hand. Tang Zheng walked towards Dragon Slayer. Dragon Slayer came back to his senses, and looked at Tang Zheng with eyes full of resentment and unwillingness, hysterically roaring, "How did you do it?" Tang Zheng sneered and said, "You don't have to worry about that. In short, you have failed. Now, what other methods do you have? Use them all." Dragon Slayer stood up, feeling weak in his heart. His cultivation in the outside world was definitely higher than Tang Zheng, but this was the Langya Pavilion inside the Dragon Seal. It was not a place where he could stir up trouble. Kill! Dragon Slayer roared, and with a flash, he had already pounced towards Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng raised his sword and welcomed the attack. The War Soul sword cried out excitedly. Man and sword as one. Tang Zheng roared, and the huge dragon body disappeared. The sword soul was wrapped in a golden light, and with lightning speed, it slashed towards Dragon Slayer. Pooh! The sword soul directly pierced through Dragon Slayer's chest, and he fell to the ground, kneeling on the ground. However, waves of chi quickly gathered from his body towards the sword soul. Tang Zheng's heart moved, and he already understood what was going on. The hidden profound sword could absorb divine soul, and this was an ability that it possessed when it was promoted. The moment the sword soul pierced through Dragon Slayer, it began to crazily absorb his divine soul. He was originally a divine soul, so the sword soul absorbed it effortlessly. Dragon Slayer's body was changing, turning into thousands of strands and fusing into the sword soul. Tang Zheng and the sword soul were one, and he could clearly feel the sword soul becoming stronger bit by bit. With a flash of golden light, he separated from the sword soul and turned into a human. He stood at the side and looked at the Dragon Slayer who had turned into thousands of strands. Pah! He suddenly slapped his thigh, regretting that he had forgotten to use the soul-searching technique on him. When he was below, he used the soul-searching technique on the Dragon Slayer, but he did not obtain much useful information. However, from the information he obtained from the Dragon Slayer, his level was higher than the other Dragon Slayers, so he knew more secrets. He had actually missed such a good opportunity. He took a deep breath and calmed his feelings of regret. When his gaze was fixed on the sword soul again, he had already completely absorbed the Dragon Slayer. Light flickered non-stop, and energy surged in all directions. Tang Zheng looked at the sword soul with bright eyes. The strength of the sword soul was beyond his imagination. Could it be that it could improve the quality of the hidden profound sword? He suppressed his curiosity. After all, there was not much time left in the Dragon Seal, and there was still a Dragon God fragment in midair. He had to hurry up and see if he could study the Dragon God fragment. When he raised his head and looked at the Dragon God fragment, he found that the Dragon God fragment was violently fluctuating. It was flying around in the air like a headless fly, and there were signs of it falling. What's going on? Tang Zheng was shocked. Could it be that although the Dragon Slayer's actions did not completely absorb the Dragon God fragment, it had already caused a serious impact on the Dragon God fragment? He guessed correctly. The Dragon God fragment was originally a part of the Dragon God's divine soul. It was an energy body, and the Dragon Slayer's actions had broken its inherent balance. Chapter 1583. The Dragon God fragment was on the verge of falling. Tang Zheng was at a loss. Suddenly, boom! With a loud bang, the Dragon God fragment burst into a burst of bright light and fell from the sky like a meteorite falling from the sky. The loud whistling sound was particularly ear-piercing. Whoosh! Tang Zheng watched the Dragon God fragment fall to the ground. No, I can't let it fall like this. What if it's destroyed? This is the Dragon God fragment. If it's destroyed, it won't be reborn. He stepped forward bravely, and with a kick of his foot, he flew toward the Dragon God fragment. The Dragon God fragment broke through the air with a terrifying momentum. Tang Zheng met it without hesitation. Boom! Tang Zheng was hit by the Dragon God fragment. It was as if he was really hit by a meteorite. His rising momentum came to an abrupt halt. His whole body trembled, and he fell from the sky. He fell heavily on the ground, and the floor seemed to tremble. Immediately, he couldn't move. He lay on the ground like a piece of wood. Only his eyes could move, and there was a mysterious light in his pupils. A majestic energy rushed into his body. The Dragon God technique automatically activated, and a huge wave of dragon chi spread out from his body. Unknowingly, he transformed into a dragon again. His huge body expanded rapidly, almost filling up the large space. He flew up lightly, and his whole body bloomed with golden light. A dragon's roar reverberated in his mind. He couldn't help but roar. The dragon's roar spread in all directions, shaking the floor until it creaked. His thoughts became very chaotic. Because, one after another, images kept jumping into his mind, colliding with his original thoughts. If he hadn't used the soul-searching technique several times and absorbed many unfamiliar images from others, he would have been tortured to the point of insanity. He gritted his teeth and digested these images bit by bit. He didn't know if he didn't look, but when he did, he was shocked. These images were actually the memories of the Dragon God. Most of them were childhood memories of brothers cultivating together in harmony. There were also fragmented images of the world of the Dragon Clan. But even so, Tang Zheng was deeply shocked by those scenes. The world of the Dragon Clan was actually so magnificent, even more magnificent than what he had seen in the illusion of Langya Pavilion. These pictures took a long time to calm down, but Tang Zheng's fluctuating mood could not be calmed down. Although he did not see the moment when the Dragon God and his brother turned against each other, he could see from the childhood memories of both sides that the other person's talent and cultivation were not inferior to the Dragon God's. No wonder he could kill the Dragon God. However, it wasn't as if he didn't gain anything. A divine ability of the Dragon Clan caught his attention. Dragon God Arts. The Dragon God had also been cultivating the Dragon God technique since he was young, but it was quite different from the Dragon God technique that Tang Zheng cultivated. There was actually a part of the foundation of the Dragon God technique. The advanced version of the Dragon God technique. Tang Zheng's huge dragon eyes lit up as he stared at the set of Dragon God arts, his heart surging with emotions. It turned out that the Dragon God technique that he cultivated back then was only the ordinary version. The real top few of the Dragon Clan could actually cultivate the more powerful Dragon God technique. From this, it could be seen that the world of the Dragon Clan was also a world with levels. In fact, it was the same for any world. The world was harmonious, and this could not last long. Therefore, it was not difficult for him to understand. If the ordinary version was so powerful, then how powerful would the advanced version be? Tang Zheng couldn't imagine it. In addition, he thought of Langya Pavilion. Langya Pavilion had a total of 18 floors, and the ordinary version of the Dragon God technique had 9 levels, which corresponded to the 9 floors of Langya Pavilion. And the advanced version of the Dragon God technique also had 9 levels. Could it be that it corresponded to the remaining 9 floors of Langya Pavilion? It was just a coincidence that he used the dragon horn to force his way to the 10th floor, or rather, it was forced. When he stepped on the stairs, the rebound was still strong. Therefore, this was not a feasible method. If he really wanted to easily step on the 10th floor, he was afraid that he would need to rely on the advanced version of the Dragon God technique. Moreover, this set of Dragon God technique also had 9 levels. Wouldn't it be compatible with the remaining 9 floors of Langya Pavilion? He firmly believed that his guess was correct. Therefore, he hurriedly focused on studying this set of dragon god technique. However, just as this thought appeared, the power of the dragon god fragment exploded again, and energy like a volcanic eruption enveloped him. He could not concentrate at all. With a boom, his body was completely stuffed, and the only remaining meridian seemed to be in danger. Ah! He roared into the sky, and it turned into a dragon's roar. This energy gathered from all parts of his body toward his Zifu, and part of it merged into Yuanying. Immediately, Yuanying shone brightly, and he jumped up and down excitedly like a lively baby. As time passed by, it was unknown how much energy the nascent soul had absorbed from the dragon god fragment, but it actually stopped. The light all over its body also gradually converged, but a wisp of wisdom flashed in its eyes. However, this wisp of light disappeared in a flash, and it did not appear again. It made people wonder if it was an illusion. Tang Zheng did not notice this. He was still fighting with the remaining energy of the dragon god fragment. He ran his skills and kept absorbing this energy. He was like a fat man, and the vital qi that was gradually converted filled his body and mind, as if it was about to explode. Boom! With a loud bang, the vital qi in his body rose steadily and finally exploded. The light on his body immediately dissipated. Thump! He fell from the air and fell heavily to the ground, and turned back into a human body. However, he did not have the strength to get up, and his body felt like it was falling apart. The dragon god fragment was too powerful, and he could not completely digest so much energy. Therefore, he only digested 1/3, and Yuanying also digested 1/3, leaving 1/3. Even so, when his vital qi gathered to the peak, he broke through the shackles in one fell swoop and reached the 7th grade of the Mahayana realm. The 7th grade of the Mahayana realm was only 2 realms away from the 9th grade of the Mahayana realm. Moreover, when he was in sky beyond heaven, he had only reached the 6th grade of the Mahayana realm. How long had it been since he broke through again? Although he was weak all over, his mood could really be described as ecstasy. He immediately stared at the remaining 1/3 of the dragon god fragment. He really wanted to absorb it immediately, but he was already powerless. It was like a person who was full, and forcing it down would cause problems. No wonder the dragon slayers covet the dragon god fragment. This effect is really not a bluff, it's amazing. He took a deep breath, and with both hands on the ground, he got up little by little. After the vital qi calmed down, it repaired his body little by little, and strength returned to his body. Chapter 1584. The time to stay in the Langya Pavilion was up. He and the sword spirit returned to the outside world and returned to their respective bodies. Net? Tang Zheng was stunned for a moment, and then, his attention was focused on the advanced version of the Dragon God mantra. It seemed that because he had fused with a portion of the Dragon God fragment, his comprehension was very strong, and he quickly comprehended these profound and difficult words. Unknowingly, he entered a mysterious state where he forgot about everything. In this world, there was only him and the Dragon God technique that he was cultivating. A wave of dragon might surged from his body, which was extremely terrifying. Especially when he opened his eyes, this huge room was completely filled with this dragon might. Dong dong dong. The people outside gathered in the room one after another. They all noticed the abnormality and turned pale with fright. But when they reached the door, they were bounced back by a majestic force, unable to take another step forward. Fang Shishir paced back and forth at the door and said worriedly, "Did something happen to him? Why is it like this?" The others also turned pale with fright and were incomparably anxious. Tian Chanzi pinched his chin and thought for a while, then thoughtfully said, "Don't worry, he's at home and not anywhere else. I guess he must be cultivating, which caused this abnormality. We just need to wait quietly. If we force our way in and affect him, it would be very bad." Tian Chanzi was an authority. After listening to his analysis, the others gradually calmed down, but they still anxiously looked at the door. For the next 2 days, Tang Zheng did not leave the room even half a step. The others also had no way to enter, so they could only pace back and forth outside the door. Tian Chanzi's gaze was very deep. Judging from the strange reaction this time, Tang Zheng's harvest was not small. He did not know what kind of opportunity this kid had. "What are you doing?" Suddenly, a voice interrupted them. They all turned their heads. Unknowingly, the golden dragon had returned and was looking at them curiously. Suddenly, the golden dragon's gaze turned cold, as if he had discovered something extraordinary. He strode over and stood at the door, staring straight at the door as if he wanted to see through it. "Master is inside?" the golden dragon asked in horror. The others nodded heavily and looked hopefully at the golden dragon. This was because everyone could sense that Tang Zheng was emitting a dragon's might. The golden dragon might be able to give an accurate and reasonable answer. "Golden dragon, what happened to Tang Zheng?" Fang Shishir asked worriedly. The golden dragon pondered for a moment before saying, "I haven't figured it out yet, but there's one thing I'm sure of. Master's draconic might is very powerful, even more powerful than mine." One had to know that the golden dragon was a member of the dragon clan, so it had a natural advantage over Tang Zheng, who had become a dragon clan member halfway through his life. Dragon aura was one of those advantages. In the past, although his cultivation was lower than that of Tang Zheng, his dragon's might was not low. This was a kind of innate majesty. However, at this moment, he had to admit that he had lost. The dragon's might emitted by Tang Zheng gave him the urge to bow down to him. That kind of terrifying pressure couldn't be explained in a few words. When everyone heard this, they were all shocked. They knew very well what it meant to hear this from the golden dragon. What exactly did Tang Zheng cultivate? How could there be such a huge momentum? The golden dragon also wanted to ask this question. He stared at the door with a burning gaze, trying to see through and see what was behind the door. "Huh!" Suddenly, the golden dragon exclaimed. The others also exclaimed one after another because they found that the draconic might had disappeared. No. This wasn't an ordinary disappearance. It was converging from the outside to the inside. All the draconic might that had been emitted had been completely withdrawn. What was going on? Creak. The door opened and Tang Zheng walked out. Everyone hurriedly rushed up, surrounding him so tightly that not even a drop of water could leak out, and impatiently asked, "Tang Zheng, how are you? Do you feel uncomfortable?" "Kid, what exactly are you doing?" "Master, what did you cultivate? How could there be such a drastic change?" Drastic change. This was the golden dragon's judgment of Tang Zheng. The others couldn't see through it. If he, a dragon, couldn't see through it, then he would have lived for nothing. After the golden dragon's reminder, everyone looked at Tang Zheng again. It seemed that there was really a little change. However, they couldn't tell what the change was. Tang Zheng looked at everyone with a smile. He could understand their feelings. As for the golden dragon's appearance, it was out of his expectations. He didn't expect him to come back in time. "Everyone, don't worry. I'm fine." Tang Zheng waved his hand to dispel the worries in everyone's hearts. Then, he seemed to want to test the golden dragon and deliberately asked, "Do you see anything different about me?" The golden dragon narrowed his eyes slightly. His eyes shone as he asked thoughtfully, "Master, did you cultivate some kind of dragon clan divine ability again?" Tang Zheng's eyes lit up and praised, "The golden dragon's eyes are really good. You actually saw through it." The golden dragon said resentfully, "I only saw a few clues. Compared to Master, it's not worth mentioning. Don't be modest." Tang Zheng smiled, then changed the topic and asked, "Golden dragon, do you know that the dragon god method is not only the part that you taught me? The memories of the dragon god fragment were all from many years ago." He didn't know if the dragon clan had changed after that. For example, he didn't know if the remaining part of the dragon god method had been passed down. The golden dragon looked at him suspiciously. He was at a loss as he asked blankly, "Master, what do you mean by that? Why don't I understand?" Looking at the golden dragon's reaction, Tang Jing understood that the dragon god method was still a secret to the ordinary dragon clan. He couldn't judge whether it had been passed down or not. Perhaps, only the current dragon king of the dragon clan could answer this question. The golden dragon saw through the clues and impatiently asked, "Master, could it be that the dragon god method is not complete, but there is another part?" After saying that, he looked at Tang Jing eagerly, wanting to know the answer from him. The golden dragon knew very well what it meant if that was the case. The dragon god method was very important to the dragon clan. It was a set of basic cultivation techniques. Many of the dragon clan's divine abilities were performed or evolved on the basis of the dragon god method. If there was a problem with the foundation, then it was definitely a big problem for the dragon clan. Tang Zhang's face became serious. He nodded heavily at the golden dragon and said in a deep voice, "Golden dragon, you guessed right. There is indeed a part of the dragon god method. You are only cultivating the basic version. There is an advanced version." These words were not loud, but in the golden dragon's ears, it was like a bolt from the blue. He was so scared that he trembled and almost fell to the ground. Chapter 1585. The golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng in a daze, as if he was listening to a fantasy story. He asked in disbelief, "Is there really an advanced version of the dragon god's secret art?" Tang Zheng looked at him and nodded heavily, "Of course. Moreover, I have already cultivated it. After my personal experience, this advanced version will make a qualitative leap in my cultivation." "What kind of leap?" the golden dragon asked curiously. Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to answer. Instead, he stretched out his hand and with a flash of golden light, a 9-clawed little golden dragon appeared in his palm. The golden dragon exclaimed as he stared straight at the little golden dragon. Then, he looked up at Tang Zheng and asked, "Is this the golden dragon in your dragon seal?" Tang Zheng nodded gently. "How is this possible?" the golden dragon exclaimed again, his face full of disbelief. He blurted out, "How can the golden dragon and the dragon seal leave your body?" The dragon clan's dragon seal always had a golden dragon, but that golden dragon could not leave the body at all. Just like Tang Zheng, it could only lie quietly in his palm. "Look a little more carefully." Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to explain. Instead, he pointed out. "Huh?" The golden dragon suppressed his surprise and locked his eyes on the 9-clawed little golden dragon. Suddenly, his pupils shrank and his mouth opened wide. He pointed at the 9-clawed little golden dragon's head and sucked in a breath of cold air. "How can this be? How can there be dragon horns on its head?" Tang Jing smiled slightly. He deliberately let the golden dragon look at the dragon horns. After all, the dragon horns were too special. He couldn't explain why, so he naturally wanted to get an answer from the golden dragon's mouth. "You also know dragon horns?" The golden dragon nodded resentfully, "Of course I know. Once the dragon clan grows dragon horns, their strength will increase by leaps and bounds. The dragon clan with dragon horns is an absolute powerhouse." Tang Jing nodded thoughtfully and asked, "How can I cultivate dragon horns?" The golden dragon looked at him in disbelief, as if to say, "Didn't you already cultivate dragon horns? Why are you asking me this question?" Suddenly, he had an idea and asked, "Could it be that dragon horns are related to the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art?" Tang Zheng's expression was dignified as he said calmly, "Golden dragon, it was an accident that I grew dragon horns. I don't know the specific reason." Since the golden dragon did not know the inside story, he stopped the topic and changed the topic, but the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art can make the golden dragon seal leave its body. "You know what this means, right?" "This means that my combat strength," the golden dragon muttered. "Smart, Tang Zheng, Yuanying, dragon, secret art, dragon. To dragon, art, dragon, art, form dragon. The dragon race was indeed a powerful race. They actually had such divine abilities. No wonder they could be so high and mighty. The other races couldn't compete with them. The golden dragon's eyes gradually revealed a look of pleasant surprise. He had already understood and could not wait to ask, "Are you saying that once I cultivate the advanced version of the dragon god technique, the dragon clan will have double the strength?" "It's possible. It's not that there will be such a result." Tang Jing corrected him and pointed to his 9-clawed little golden dragon, saying, "It's still very weak right now. It needs time to reach a higher realm in the dragon god's secret art before it can truly display its power." Even so, the golden dragon was completely shocked by this news. He stared blankly at the 9-clawed little golden dragon and couldn't help but reveal a look of envy. If he could also cultivate the advanced version of the dragon god's secret art, wouldn't his strength also increase by leaps and bounds? Tang Jing smiled as if he had seen through his thoughts. He pointed his finger at the golden dragon and a beam of golden light shot out from his fingertip. Puff! The golden light silently disappeared from the golden dragon's forehead. It was as if he was struck by lightning as his eyes became sluggish. After a few seconds, ecstasy filled his face. Advanced version of the dragon god's secret art. He opened his mouth wide and cried out in surprise, unable to close it again. Tang Jing actually directly passed this divine ability to him. He roughly skimmed through it and saw the true appearance. Only then did he understand the power of the advanced version. This could completely overturn the Dragon Clan's current weak position. Once the Dragon Clan cultivated the advanced version, their strength would increase by leaps and bounds. In the future, defeating the Dragon Slayer would not be a pipe dream. The others were confused when they heard this. They didn't quite understand the Golden Dragon's feelings, so they all opened their eyes wide and looked at Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon. Tang Zheng looked at the Golden Dragon with a smile, waiting for him to digest all of this. After a long time, he seemed to have really digested it, but he looked at Tang Zheng with an even more complicated expression and said, "Master, you're too good to me. This is what I should do. Back then, you submitted to me, so I will naturally be responsible for you to the end." Tang Zheng said calmly. The Golden Dragon was extremely happy. Fortunately, Tang Zheng used strong methods to force him to submit. He was unwilling and wanted to resist. He really didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth and didn't know how lucky he was. Thousands of words were stuck in the Golden Dragon's chest, and he was unable to speak for a long time. The advanced version of the Dragon God technique has a total of 9 levels, which are 9 new levels added to the original foundation. Although you haven't cultivated the basic version of the Dragon God technique to the peak, once you have the advanced version, both sides will strengthen each other. I believe that it won't be long before you cultivate the basic version of the Dragon God technique to the peak. Then, you can cultivate the advanced version. Tang Zheng introduced. The Golden Dragon nodded heavily. Of course, he understood all of this. When he browsed through the advanced version, he already had a deeper understanding of the basic version. He looked at Tang Jing curiously and asked, "Master, what realm have you cultivated to?" "The first level of the advanced version." Tang Jing said lightly. It took him 2 days to finally break through to this realm after coming out of the Langya Pavilion. This was already a rocket-like speed. The Golden Dragon was dumbfounded, and his jaw almost fell to the ground. Back then, he was the one who taught the Dragon God technique to Tang Zheng. He didn't expect that the latter would catch up and soar all the way, leaving him far behind. He was not envious, jealous, or resentful. He was sincerely convinced. Fang Shishir and the others were confused. They finally understood that Tang Zheng had a new harvest. They were all overjoyed and looked at him happily. Tang Zheng's mood was not as relaxed. Although his strength had increased, the pressure had also increased. In particular, the news about the Dragon Slayer was like a huge rock that pressed heavily on his heart. However, he did not immediately show it to avoid worrying the others. The family was happy and harmonious, and they did not notice Tang Zheng's abnormality at all. Only the Golden Dragon looked at Tang Zheng deeply and seemed to be deep in thought. As the sun set, Tang Zheng and the Golden Dragon found a secluded corner where no one was around. "Master, is there anything else?" The golden dragon asked with a heavy heart. Golden dragon, let's talk about your harvest first. Tang Zheng was not in a hurry to say. Instead, he asked. You went to look for the dragon clan's base camp and the dragon king. Did you find them? Chapter 1586. The golden dragon said tirelessly, I left this world and used the special senses of the dragon race. After going through many places, I finally found the base camp of the dragon race. The dragon race was born to be able to travel through space, especially when there was a special connection between the dragon race as a guide. This kind of travel was especially easy. The golden dragon was not very proficient in the laws of space, but he still used this method to successfully travel through space. After a few twists and turns, he finally found the base camp of the dragon race. Hearing this, Tang Zheng raised his eyebrows, unable to hide his surprise, and urged, What kind of world is the base camp of the dragon race? The golden dragon's eyes became dim, he shook his head and said, It's far from what I expected. What do you mean? Tang Zheng was very curious. The golden dragon let out a long sigh, and said, After experiencing the pursuit of the dragon slayers everywhere, the dragon race has long been scattered in various worlds, and I was really lucky to find the dragon race's base camp. However, the base camp has also moved through many worlds, and it no longer has the glory of the dragon race. As for its overall strength, it has long been lost. Tang Zheng's eyes darkened with disappointment. The dragon race had actually declined to such a state, he never would have thought. The threat and influence of the dragon slayers on the dragon race was too great. Then did you see the dragon king? Tang Zheng asked. The golden dragon stammered, I did see him, but I didn't say much to the dragon king. Oh, why? Tang Zheng was puzzled. The golden dragon said resentfully, I told the dragon king about the situation of this world, especially about the dragon slayers, but the dragon king and the other dragons did not believe me. They did not think that we could kill the dragon slayers, and thought that I was lying. My saliva was dry, and my lips were sore, but no dragon race believed me. This experience made the golden dragon very angry. His clansmen actually did not believe him, which deeply hurt him. This was clearly because they did not believe in his strength, and did not think that he could kill the dragon slayers. As for the matter about Tang Zheng that the golden dragon had told him, it was even dismissed as a fantasy by the dragon race. They thought that he had made it up, and did not believe him at all. Tang Zheng didn't expect this to happen either. He asked curiously, why are the dragons so short-sighted? Even his own clansmen didn't believe it. What happened after that? Later, when I saw that no one believed me, I was worried that Master would be anxious, so I came back alone. Anyway, they won't care whether I leave or not. The golden dragon was very disappointed. He thought that he had found his clansmen, which was equivalent to returning to the embrace of his clansmen. He didn't expect that he would be more valued by Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng pondered for a long time before shaking his head. The decline of the dragon race was not without reason. The sun was already setting, yet they still did not believe in their own race. What kind of unity was this? Perhaps there were many conflicts within the dragon clan, and they could not unite to fight against the dragon slayers. Golden Dragon, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but I haven't had the right opportunity. Now, I've decided to tell you everything, Tang Zheng said after some consideration. The golden dragon was immediately attracted. He looked at Tang Zheng in surprise, not knowing what else he was hiding from him. Have you never thought about what the foggy world outside Langya Pavilion is? I know you've always been thinking about the Dragon Clan's ban and didn't dare to explore it. But there was one time when I couldn't hold back my curiosity and entered that foggy world. Hearing Tang Zheng's words, the golden dragon jumped up and shouted, What? You actually went there? How could you go there? But just as he finished speaking, he stopped and said embarrassedly, Master, I'm not blaming you. It's just that this is a ban passed down from generation to generation in the Dragon Clan. So, Tang Zheng waved his hand, understanding his thoughts, and said, I understand what you mean. But I cultivated the dragon god technique halfway, so I don't have as many restrictions in my heart as the other dragons. So, I went to explore out of curiosity, and this made me a huge discovery. Tang Zheng told him about the inverted Langya pavilion and those dragon souls. The golden dragon's reaction was very wonderful. First, he was shocked, then he became numb. Like a wooden person, he looked at Tang Zheng without moving. He was already dizzy from the heavy news one after another, and his brain lost the ability to think. The inverted Langya pavilion, the dragon clan's graveyard, the dragon souls, and that dragon clan elder, each and every one of these news completely overturned the golden dragon's understanding. It turned out that the dragon clan's adherence to the ban for generations was actually wrong. Not a single dragon dared to break the old rules and discover the true secret. He couldn't help but look at Tang Zheng enviously. He thought to himself that the heavens had blessed him and allowed his master to discover this by chance. Otherwise, the dragon clan would continue to be kept in the dark. The golden dragon didn't sigh for too long because Tang Zheng's next words once again attracted all his attention, causing his heart to fiercely clench. The dragon slayer had actually appeared in the dragon seal world. This was the dragon clan's final secret, but it was still discovered by the dragon slayer. Once they absorbed those dragon souls, the golden dragon was very clear about what would happen. He swallowed his saliva and looked at Tang Zheng eagerly, impatient to know the answer. Looking at his blazing eyes, Tang Zheng guessed his thoughts and hurriedly told the golden dragon about how he had eliminated the dragon slayer twice. The golden dragon patted his chest and heaved a sigh of relief with lingering fear. He looked at Tang Zheng gratefully and said, "Master, this is all thanks to you. Without you, the dragon clan would have really fallen into a state of eternal damnation. I'm now a member of the dragon clan, this is what I should do. But there's one thing you definitely won't guess, and that's the origin of the dragon slayer." Immediately, the golden dragon concentrated and raised his attention to 120%. He really didn't know the inside story about the origin of the dragon slayer. Naturally, he was very interested in this topic. But after that, his heart felt like it was on a roller coaster, rising and falling along with Tang Zheng's cadence. His face turned pale for a moment, then shocked for a moment, then ashamed for a moment. In short, he had lived for so many years, but he had never felt as complicated as this moment. After Tang Zheng finished speaking, he still hadn't come back to his senses. His gaze was sluggish as he stared blankly at the sunset that had already sunk below the horizon. "This is all history, you don't have to think too much about it." Tang Zheng patted his shoulder and comforted him. Chapter 1587. Tang Zheng could understand the golden dragon's feelings. After all, the golden dragon was a real dragon, and its feelings for the dragon race were naturally far deeper than Tang Zheng's. Now, the golden dragon discovered that his understanding of the dragon race had been turned upside down. The dragon slayer that he had always regarded as his mortal enemy was actually also a dragon, and a traitor of the dragon race who had killed the dragon god. Dragon god. What a great title this was. But in the current dragon race, there were probably very few who knew about it. At least, an ordinary dragon like him definitely did not know about it. "Master, are you saying that you only knew about the advanced version of the dragon god method after absorbing the dragon god fragment? Doesn't that mean that there are many other unknown secrets in the other dragon god fragments, and even divine abilities?" The golden dragon hesitated for a moment and said in shock. This possibility made his heart surge uncontrollably. Tang Zheng had also thought about this question, so he directly nodded and gave him a definite answer. "Your deduction is correct, that is indeed the case. Then how can I obtain the other dragon god fragments?" The golden dragon asked impatiently. Tang Zheng had never taken the dragon god fragment for himself and regarded it as his own personal belongings, so he said straightforwardly, "Once your advanced version of the dragon god method reaches the corresponding realm, you should be able to ascend to a higher floor, and there will definitely be other dragon god fragments hidden above." The golden dragon's eyes immediately lit up, but immediately dimmed again. He shook his head and said, "The dragon god's fragment is a fragment of the dragon clan's ancestor. How can we, the descendants, blasphemed the dragon god's fragment. It's even more impossible for us to have the thought of taking the dragon god's fragment for ourselves. That's completely disrespectful to the dragon god. Tang Zheng looked at the golden dragon in approval. If it wasn't for a coincidence, he definitely wouldn't have taken the initiative to absorb the dragon god's fragments. He, a halfway dragon, was already so respectful, let alone the other dragon clans. The golden dragon's reaction was within his expectations. You're right. In order to protect these dragon god fragments, we still have a lot of work to do. First, we have to surround and intercept the dragon slayer and not let them have the chance to enter again. Even if they enter, we have to have a way to snipe them. Tang Zheng said in a deep voice. The golden dragon nodded in agreement and said, I'll listen to Master, but what should we do next? Tang Zheng knew that the situation was very dangerous and he had to race against time. After all, he could not predict when the dragon slayer would enter the Langya pavilion again. Since he had been ejected from the Langya pavilion, he would not be able to enter again for a period of time. Even if he sensed that the dragon slayer had entered the Langya pavilion in the future, he would not be able to stop him. As for the golden dragon, he alone was no match for the dragon slayer. Therefore, they needed to find more helpers. Even if the dragon slayers launched a large-scale attack, they could gather their strength and have the power to fight back. Since you've already found the dragon clan's base camp and the dragon king, then we have to go and meet them. Gather the power of all the dragon clan and use this opportunity to stop the dragon slayer, and even make a beautiful comeback. Tang Zheng waved his fist a few times and said excitedly. The golden dragon's eyes lit up, and it said excitedly, Master's words make sense. I had no proof, and the dragon king did not believe me. But after he saw Master, he knew that everything I said was true. Tang Zheng thought for a while and nodded in agreement, admitting that the golden dragon's words made sense. There's no time to lose, then we'll go to the dragon clan's base camp immediately. Tang Zheng said impatiently. This was the most urgent matter, and it could not be delayed. This time, Tang Zheng did not tell the truth in order to prevent others from worrying. He only gave some instructions to his family and then left with the golden dragon. Above the 9 heavens, where the spatial restriction was the weakest. Tang Zheng and the golden dragon stood in the air, and a strong wind blew, messing up their clothes. Tang Zheng took a deep breath and nodded at the golden dragon with a serious expression, saying, Let's begin. The golden dragon's body shone with golden light, and with a shake of his body, he transformed into a true dragon. The golden light emitted from his body dyed half the sky golden. Fortunately, they were too far away from the ground, otherwise the people on the ground would definitely see this scene. The golden dragon clawed at the void, and with a crackling sound, the air was torn apart, trembling violently as if the sky was about to collapse. The air violently shook, and cracks slowly appeared in the sky. Tang Zheng watched this scene without saying a word. He was well versed in the mysteries of crossing space, so he could see at a glance that the golden dragon's ability to cross space was inferior to his. If it weren't for the dragon clan's special senses, he definitely would not have been able to cross space so easily. A black spatial door gradually opened in front of him, and a gust of wind poured into the spatial door from all directions. The golden dragon stopped, turned its head to look at Tang Zheng, and said respectfully, Master, the spatial door has been opened, please enter. Tang Zheng stepped in with large strides, and the golden dragon's figure flashed, disappearing behind the door. In the next second, the spatial door completely closed, and the sky returned to normal. Because of the difference in cultivation, the golden dragon's control of spatial principles was not as good as Tang Zheng's, so it was naturally unable to control the spatial door with ease. Tang Zheng calmly followed the golden dragon's footsteps, quietly arriving at a place where another spatial door appeared in front of them. This time, the golden dragon took the lead to step out, deeply afraid that there would be some danger outside that would harm Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng followed the golden dragon's footsteps and also stepped out of the spatial door, ignoring the spatial door quietly closing behind him. He was completely shocked by the scene in front of him. What kind of world was this? This was a world of water, and as far as the eye could see, it was all water, and there was almost no end in sight. He was sure that no ocean he had ever seen could compare to what was in front of him. It was really too big, and he even thought that there was no land in this world. Master, welcome to the Dragon Clan's headquarters, the Dragon Realm. The golden dragon returned to its human form again, reaching out to grasp the world in front of it, and explained with a smile. Dragon Realm. Tang Jing subconsciously repeated it, unable to hide his astonishment. He raised his eyes and looked around, looking into the distance, and was even more deeply shocked. After a long time, he could not help but sigh with emotion. The Dragon Clan is truly a powerful race. A proud expression appeared on the golden dragon's face, and it said, Master is also a member of the Dragon Clan, so this is our shared pride. A starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Tang Jing truly understood the essence of this sentence. The Dragon Clan had declined compared to before, but it was still beyond the reach of many other clans, especially the human world. Although their technology was advanced, they still had no chance of winning against the Dragon Clan. Suddenly, a golden light flickered on the horizon and flew towards them. Chapter 1588. The monstrous wave arrived in the blink of an eye, and the violent wind made it hard for people to open their eyes. Tang Jing calmly looked at the incoming wave, as if he didn't care at all. He could summon clouds and summon rain, so he naturally wasn't afraid of this so-called wave. Rumble. The sound of the wave was deafening, as if it was going to scare people out of their wits. The golden dragon hurriedly stepped forward, but Tang Jing was faster than him, his finger gently pointing at the wave. Crash. The huge wave came to an abrupt stop, frozen in midair. After a few seconds, it fell back into the sea like a heavy downpour. Then, a golden light appeared from behind the huge wave, and a golden dragon flickered with golden light. It was majestic, as if it was looking down on the world, shaking its head and wagging its tail, looking down at Tang Jing from above. How dare you? Tell me your name, who is it that dares to trespass into the dragon domain? The other party shouted in a stern voice. Tang Jing was in human form, and he had deliberately restrained his dragon aura, so the other party couldn't tell that he was also a dragon. This time, there was no need for Tang Jing to respond. The golden dragon had already rushed out and stood in front of Tang Jing to protect him. Although he was also in human form, his entire body was emitting a strong dragon aura, so the other party could tell at a glance that he was of the same kind. You're not allowed to speak to my master with such an attitude. The golden dragon retorted unhappily. Master? The other party was obviously stunned for a moment, then he stretched out his golden dragon claw and pointed at the golden dragon, saying, You actually called him master? The dragon race has always been high and mighty. How can you recognize someone as your master? Do you still remember your identity as a dragon? The last time the golden dragon came to the dragon domain, he didn't mention that he recognized Tang Jing as his master. Moreover, the number of dragons he had seen was very limited, and he had never met this one before, so he naturally didn't know him. However, the golden dragon still said in a neither servile nor overbearing manner, This is my business, you don't need to say anything. How dare you? You dare to quibble after doing such a thing that is against the divine might of the Dragon Clan? How dare you talk to me with such an attitude? I'll take you down first and ask the Dragon King to punish you. The other party scolded loudly and aggressively. He swung his dragon tail and swept it towards the golden dragon. Looking at this scene, Tang Jing frowned. He came to the dragon domain for an important matter, but this stupid dragon did not ask for the truth and started a fight. It was really out of his expectations. Moreover, the golden dragon had recognized him as its master, so it was time for him to take action. He took a step forward. It seemed like a small step, but he had already blocked the golden dragon behind him to prevent it from being injured by his opponent. Master! The golden dragon cried out anxiously. At this time, it should share the burden of its master. How could it let its master take the risk and do it himself? However, Tang Jing decided to end the battle. He did not give the golden dragon a chance to fight. He reached out his hand and grabbed the dragon tail that was sweeping toward him. Tang Zheng's eyes were firmly locked onto the dragon's tail. His palms suddenly transformed and emitted a golden light. Bang! With a loud sound, the dragon's tail fell into Tang Zheng's palm and he caught it firmly. Roar! A dragon's roar resounded through the heavens and earth, as if it was about to set off a huge wave. Tang Zheng looked at the other side calmly and said, "We haven't even spoken a few words, and you want to catch the golden dragon and denounce him? Ha, ha, you think too much of yourself. Who are you? How dare you come to the dragon domain and behave so atrociously? Aren't you afraid of death?" The other side had not yet realized the situation he was in and scolded relentlessly. Behave atrociously? Your words are really good. I think you're the one who's behaving atrociously. We didn't do anything, but you attacked. Are all dragons so arrogant? If that's the case, why have you been hunted down by the dragon slayers all these years? Tang Zheng asked jokingly, not putting the other side in his eyes at all. The golden dragon's throat moved. It wanted to explain, but gave up in the end. The dragon slayers were an absolute taboo to the dragon race. If Tang Zheng said it so bluntly, the other side would definitely not let it go and would be thoroughly enraged. As expected, after hearing the 3 words dragon slayers, the other side was completely enraged. He kept struggling, but it was as if Tang Zheng's hand had a magical power. He could not break free at all. You're in cahoots with the dragon slayers? You came to the dragon domain on the orders of the dragon slayers. Must be so. How dare you? And you, as a member of the dragon race, you're actually in cahoots with the dragon slayers. You traitor of the dragon race, none of you should even think about leaving the dragon domain. The other side chattered on and on, minding his own business and shouting. Then, he looked up to the sky and let out a dragon's roar. The sound shook the surroundings and was even louder than before, spreading in all directions. Tang Zheng's brows trembled. He heard some clues from the dragon's roar and said directly, "Are you informing the dragon race?" "Heh, even if you didn't inform them, I would still go find them." "Then let's go together." At this time, the golden dragon could not stop him. He could only follow behind Tang Zheng and fly into the distance. The dragon that was baring his fangs and brandishing his claws seemed to have completely given up struggling. He allowed Tang Zheng to grab him and fly into the distance. The 2 sides were one big and one small. The contrast between their bodies was obvious, but their auras were worlds apart. In front of Tang Zheng, he was like a powerless baby facing an adult. They did not fly for too long before a golden light flashed on the horizon. This time, it was not a single golden light, but a large golden light. It completely dyed the sky and the sea golden. It was a spectacular sight. "Ha, the main force is here." Tang Zheng simply stopped and watched the golden light fly over. Gradually, Tang Zheng could see the real scene under the golden light. It was actually dozens of dragons. Their huge bodies occupied half of the sky, and their auras were terrifying. "Master, I'll do it." The golden dragon stepped forward and rushed to the front. Tang Zheng did not object. Since it was the main force of the dragon race, there was naturally no need to fight head-on. He did not come to the dragon realm to fight and kill. With so many dragons, there must be some who knew the golden dragon. When the time came to explain clearly, all the misunderstandings would be resolved. "You're dead." Tang Zheng felt the strength of the struggle in his hand increase again. He looked down and happened to look at the dragon in his hand. He heard the other party say so with murderous intent. Tang Zheng did not mind and said with a smile, "Whether you live or die is not up to you. Let's wait and see." The other party snorted coldly with a "you're dead" expression. He looked at the main force of the dragon race with a burning gaze. He wanted to break free from Tang Zheng's hand. Otherwise, if he was seen by his fellow dragons, wouldn't he lose face? However, this hope did not come true. He could only helplessly accept reality and be firmly held by Tang Zheng. He then watched as the main force of the dragon race flew in front of him. The golden dragon flew out impatiently and blocked in front of the dragons, saying, "This is all a misunderstanding. Everyone, please calm down." Chapter 1589. Many pairs of eyes stared at the golden dragon in unison. Their gazes were quite unfriendly, but it was obvious that some dragons had recognized him and asked suspiciously, "It's you?" The golden dragon let out a sigh of relief and hurriedly nodded, "It's me. We're all dragons. There's no need to fight. This is all a misunderstanding." After saying that, the golden dragon squeezed out a kind smile. D7% CF% D3% C4% B8% F3 nonsense. Then is he a dragon? You brought an outsider to the dragon field. What are your intentions? Someone directly pointed at Tang Zheng and said. He's also a dragon. The golden dragon looked deeply at Tang Zheng. Seeing him nod slightly, he immediately pointed out Tang Zheng's identity. He's a dragon? Ha ha ha. As soon as this was said, there was a burst of laughter. All the dragons looked at Tang Zheng with ridicule and laughed. Everyone, look at him. Which part of him looks like a dragon? If he's a dragon, then what are we? Ha ha ha, you don't even know how to make up a reliable lie. This kind of lie can be seen through at a glance. Don't make a fool of yourself. Master is really a dragon. The golden dragon hurriedly explained. Master? The dragons were shocked and grasped this key point. They all looked at the golden dragon in shock and anger. The golden dragon knew that he had misspoken. This sentence was likely to ignite another explosive barrel. If he was not careful, it would be another chaotic battle. You said that I'm not a dragon, right? Tang Zheng saw that the golden dragon and these dragons could not be explained clearly. The dragons were immersed in their own wishful thinking, so he walked forward and asked indifferently. The dragon nodded and looked at him covetously. Of course you're not a dragon. You're clearly a human. Can't we see that? Is that so? Tang Zheng's lips curled into a smile. Then what is this? As soon as he finished speaking, his entire body bloomed with golden light. With a shake of his body, he transformed into a huge dragon and hovered in the air. The dragon captive finally found a chance to escape. He staggered back, but as soon as he looked up, he stared blankly at the scene in front of him and could no longer move. All of the other dragon tribe cultivators were also dumbstruck as they stared at this scene. Tang Zheng looked down from above, soaring in the air, his 9 dragon claws baring their fangs and brandishing their claws, full of vigor. His huge dragon eyes stared straight at them, and that terrifying dragon might seem to press down on the hearts of every dragon. Roar! A dragon's roar shook the heavens, and the hearts of the dragons trembled. Some of them trembled in fear and hurriedly retreated. Am I not a dragon? Tang Zheng's voice sounded again, but it was completely different from before. It carried a strong dragon's might, and it was insufferably arrogant and lofty. The dragon clan was completely stunned. No one answered. This was a genuine dragon clan. How could any dragon clan member dare to deny it? Everyone, look at his head. A dragon clan cried out in alarm as he pointed at Tang Zheng's forehead in shock. Dragon horn! Exclamations sounded again. All of the dragon clan members saw the sharp dragon horn. Although it was very short, it was very shocking. Immediately, the dragon clan members who were disrespectful to Tang Zheng lowered their heads. As for the golden dragon recognizing Tang Zheng as its master, everyone thought that it was normal. Dragons with dragon horns had an extremely high status in the dragon clan. It was a very honorable thing to recognize him as its master. Tang Zheng showed off for a moment, completely intimidating the dragon clan. Seeing that they no longer had the intention to fight, his heart was as calm as an ancient well. He did not want to be entangled with these dragon clan members, so he revealed his dragon form. Take me to see the Dragon King. Tang Zheng ordered majestically. The dragon clan members looked at each other, and in the end, no one dared to refute. They obediently led the way for Tang Zheng and the golden dragon and flew forward. The golden dragon looked at Tang Zheng enviously. As expected of its master, he directly intimidated all the dragon clan members as soon as he made a move. It did not have such awe-inspiring power. Its saliva was dry, but there was no effect at all. The golden dragon had been away from the dragon clan for too long. It did not know how important a dragon clan member with dragon horns was, so it did not understand the reaction of the other dragon clan members. There were 8 dragon envoys and 1 dragon king in the dragon clan. These 9 were at the top of the power pyramid of the dragon clan, and they all had one thing in common, which was that they had dragon horns. This was a distinctive feature that distinguished them from the other dragon clan members. That was why the dragon clan members had such a big reaction when they saw the dragon horns. A new dragon clan member with dragon horns had arrived in the dragon realm. This news would definitely spread like wildfire throughout the dragon realm. The dragon clan members flew to an area and stopped. A golden light rose from the water below and occupied half of the sky. The golden dragon carefully explained, "Master, the dragon palace is below." Tang Zheng nodded secretly. So the dragon palace was underwater. It seemed that the dragon clan members had the same habit of living underwater. The dragon palace in the South Sea was like this. Boom! All the dragon clan members shook their heads and waved their tails as they rushed toward the water. Tang Zheng did not want to be left behind. He entered the water with the golden dragon. Water was like air to the dragon clan. The surrounding water surged toward Tang Zheng, giving him a warm and intimate feeling. The water was very deep. They swam at an extremely fast speed for a long time, but they still could not see the bottom. However, the golden light that soared into the sky became more and more intense. It was like a beacon that was guiding them home. Suddenly, Tang Zheng's dragon eyes shrank. He looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. Although he had seen the dragon palace before, compared to the scene in front of him, the dragon palace in the South Sea was like a thatched cottage. It was not worth mentioning at all. What he saw was not just a dragon palace, but a city. It was bigger and more magnificent than any human city. Looking at it, there was only one thought in his mind, and that was to be deeply shocked. He was impressed by the beautiful buildings. The golden dragon seemed to have guessed Tang Zheng's thoughts and said proudly, "Master, this is the core of the dragon domain, the home of the dragon clan. All the dragon clan members live in this area. Look at the tallest building in the center. That is the dragon palace." Tang Zheng quickly looked over. Sure enough, there was a tall building in the center of the area. It was far taller than the buildings in other places. A mighty dragon head stood at the top of the building. The dragon head looked up to the sky and seemed to be letting out a dragon's roar. It was indescribably awe-inspiring and shook one's soul. A huge light screen covered the city, isolating them from the water. When they approached, the majestic aura of the dragon palace hit them in the face, shocking their soul. Before they even got close, several teams of patrolling dragon clan members discovered them. However, without exception, they were all deeply attracted by Tang Zheng's dragon horn. Pairs of eyes stared straight at the dragon horn. Their eyes were filled with complex emotions. The golden dragon felt as if it had grown a dragon horn. It felt proud and elated. Compared to the last time when it came back silently, it felt too good this time. Tang Zheng was very calm. He carefully looked at the city and the dragon palace. You're tuning into the Dreamy Love Stories YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.